G'day, g'day, beautiful boys, gorgeous girls, everything in between, whatever you identify as, whether you're a Sylvaneth twig or a cog fort gear, whatever you are, welcome and hello onto your Monday. I'm joined today by the wonderful Austin. Austin, mate, how you doing?
Good. How about you, Dan?
Look, I'm okay. I'm okay. I won't lie. I was in a bit of a funk over the weekend. Or for those who weren't in the loop on that one, um, was meant to be streaming your event, in fact, and it was going to be the biggest Age of Sigmar weekend because we were going to have 10 games between us and the UK team back to back, which I was very very excited about. And of course, Mother Nature or the Breath of Gork decided to fuck us up real hard on that one.
Yeah, I picked the worst day to do it.
Literally the only day that could cripple all of the plans. We'll talk about that in a second. So anyway, long story short, I was actually in a bit of a funk over the weekend. I was pretty gutted, pretty down, and some lovely people said, "Hey, come around. We'll play some War Dollies. I know that you're not in a great place after everything falling in a fire. So come around and play some War Dollies." And I have to say, the thing that has revitalized me is how cool the community is. That you could be in such a kind of self-destructive mindset and have wonderful people turn you around, which was really really lovely for myself. But you're probably coming off a high as well with the event, correct?
Yeah, it was very stressful at first because of the whole ferry situation,
Mm-hmm.
and I went in a little negative, thinking like, oh, it fell apart.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
right as it started to move, the game started going. It just picked right back up, and spirits were high.
yeah. And so sorry for those who aren't aware. What happened is the event is on which I am terrible at pronouncing. So
Nanaimo.
no, thank you, Nanaimo, which is on an island close to Vancouver, BC, and so to get to the island, you have to fly in a fucking death boat plane. You know the planes that fucking moonlight as boats, or you have to catch this big ass ferry. Now, what happened was the wind got to such an incredible, it was like 110 kilometers an hour, which for people who are in miles per hour, that's just fast. That's as fast as you can drive on Australian roads. And the wind was so strong that the planes couldn't fly, and I think only one ferry went in an entire day, where they're supposed to go like every hour or hour and a half or something like that. So people were effectively cut off from the island. So there was a lot of people stranded on one side, which is why I couldn't get there. And then some people on boats that were not moving in the middle of the ocean because of how strong the winds were, which I'm sure was fun. But yeah, and sorry, I haven't been here long, Austin, so I don't know a lot about the plane boats. I don't. Have you ever caught one?
No, I haven't. I haven't personally.
Okay. Well, yeah. The Twitch Village idiot is pointing out that planes are usually only boats once. And if you watch enough seconds from Disaster, you know how it ends up. And I think you're 100% right. And Jimmy 1080 is saying if Dwayne the Rock Johnson wasn't here, it wasn't a disaster, which is it's fair. Good to see you back, Jimmy 1080. You're 100 points better than Jimmy 980. So Grail in the chat as well. But yeah, it was insane, and so fair to say it was a pretty intense thing. It's not pleasant knowing that people can't get there, and I don't know if it was the same for you. But the thing that I found the worst was that I felt so powerless. You know, it's not like it was poor planning. It's not like it was an oversight. Literally, the Breath of Gork rose up across the ocean and went, "Fuck you, boats."
Yeah, like I was making suggestions, like maybe try in the morning, but of course, with that logic, everyone who missed their boats that day is going to try first thing in the morning, so
Mm.
there's no guarantee you'll even get on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah, there were.
I know some of you guys are basically stuck waiting for 9 hours,
And
which is
my accommodation
which is brutal.
my accommodation messaged me to be like, "Are you coming to pick up your key?" And I was like, "Oh, I couldn't because there were no boats. I can't get to the island." And they were like, "Oh, okay, we've cancelled your booking." And I was like, "Sorry, what?" So even if I got over there, they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to be around for the rest of the weekend, so we can't let." It was an Airbnb. And they're like, "So we can't let you in." And I was like, "Do do you have a neighbor?" Maybe. So anyway, look, it was a bit of a clusterfuck. However, at the end of the day, sounds like a lot of people had some really cool games. Re-rolling ones saying "Wish you could have gone," which would have been challenging. I know the Seattle crew. I think the Seattle crew drove from Seattle to wherever their ferry is, and then couldn't like Ricky from Dimensional Cascade just threaded the needle and got on the boat, and then everybody else.
Yeah,
Yeah, go.
I had some other Seattle guys not be able to make it because of that wind. It was force of nature really screwed everything up.
Literally, the breath of Gork was like, no. However, still a decent turnout, and we will talk about this in the results section, but something that really excited me, and I was looking at the stats all through it, right? Because I could see the couple of the guys I was with had the breakdown as everything was going. Now, were you a little excited or nervous that going into I think it was round 4, only one person was on 4 wins going into round 4. Is that correct? Or maybe I've lost you. Let me just double check in case I've lost you. Hello, Paul the Firewood Salesman. Hello. Austin, can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello.
sorry.
No, there you are. You're back. You're back.
There we go.
It just
Excellent.
We just had a quiet little moment there, a moment of reflection. But I was saying that going into the 4th round, only one player was on. Going into the 5th round or the 4th round, only one player was on maximum wins. So
Yep.
So potentially, like that person had already won the event. Now, did that kind of like were you like, oh shit, how do we balance this, or what were you thinking at the time?
Well, I was looking over my tournament package because I made it clear in there kill points is the tiebreaker.
Yep.
But when I made that tournament package, I was expecting a lot more people.
Yeah, of course. And half of the people were on the other side of the
Exactly.
thing, just screaming into the wind.
So I knew they're there and break those ties. But when we got closer to the end there, and I saw we only had one person going 4-0, and if some of the other 3-1s won their game, and that 4-0 lost their game, I'm thinking, oh god, I'm going to have multiple people tying. It's all going to come down to kill points,
which is what happened, right?
That's exactly what happened.
And no, but that's what I said when I saw those final matchups. I was like, and Tom, who was on max wins, nowhere is a mate. But I was looking at it and going, is it wrong that I kind of want him to drop this game so that no one's gone 5-0 and the top place is just so heartily contended? Like, sure, you'd always want a 5-0 and you've got a clear-cut winner. But how much more interesting is it with all that nitty-gritty? Did you feel that, or were you just terrified of making a mistake?
Oh, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. Because I didn't think first place would come down to kill points. This is like, I just throw kill points in there to differentiate like 9th from 10th or something. Or maybe in a rare case, it will determine someone on the podium. I didn't think it would determine 4 people potentially getting first.
Well, 4 people, equal battle points, all coming down to it. So I mean, look, and in a perfect world, if you could go back, you'd be like, okay, there's going to be a pretty tight tie for first. I'm going to need to add in a couple more secondaries. But like, when has that ever happened? I think that's just amazing. We'll talk all about that in a moment, but there's a lot of people who come in here only for the start of the show for one very, very important segment. And are you aware of what that segment is?
Send nudes.
Send nudes, baby. So as with every good good show, we do have to start by sending nudes. Now, for those who can't see a screen or haven't been aware of it before, it is NUDES, nice, unique drawings, everyone scribbled. And every week, there'll be a couple of viewer art photos that have been sent in. Now, today, I won't lie, today's nude, I have a small concern about, only because it's a little bit specific. It's video game specific. So I don't know if you are a particularly big gamer. I am a massive nerd in all different areas, so I love myself some video games. So this one registers with me. I don't know if it will with you. But before we do anything, I need to know what your scoring system's going to be. You can score it out of whatever you like. What do you think it's going? What are you going to score it on?
Well, let's see. Last time I went with eggs because I was working in a dairy
Of course,
department.
yeah. And so there
But
was, and I
since
believe
then,
the highest was a dozen plus one. I think was the it was like yeah.
it was like 13 free range eggs or something. I think I scored last
That's it.
time.
Yeah, that was the best score. Was but okay. So what are we scoring out of this time?
Let's go with. Well, I got shifted over to grocery at my job, so
Okay,
let's
yep.
go with cans of beans.
Beans. Okay, good, good. What type of beans? Just because I know someone's gonna freaking ask. What types of beans?
Ooh, let's classic baked beans.
Baked beans. Okay, good. Baked beans. Oh, cool, Bunny. Subscribe for 7 months. We are 2 months off having a hobby baby, which is lovely. Nemesis in the chat, who is, as some will know, is a pretty damn scary Cities of Sigmar player with a terrifying shooting list. Twitch Village Idiot commenting, and Austin, I think you can feel this. Imagine being a Deepkin player and not being able to get there because of the ocean, which did in fact happen. Obviously,
Yep.
Natasha, the Deepkin player, she was there again at 3:30 in the morning and missed out.
I heard.
It's devastating.
I think I was told she was second car away from the boat until he stopped her. Which
Yeah.
is oh.
Yeah. But the thing is, at the last tournament, she took 2 Eidolons. This tournament, she took 2 sharks and the big shithouse turtle. And so I think that was the problem. Not enough Eidolons. Not enough Eidolons. Obviously, they would have done it. But yeah, would have gone with kidney. I don't know. Oh, Jimmy would have gone
kidney
with
beans.
kidney beans. Yep. Vanilla Just Sass is asking what brand of baked beans. And oh, Blaze Be Mad, welcome back. Good to have you back, you gorgeous chunk. But yeah, what brand of baked beans is the question the chat wants to know.
Ooh, probably go with Heinz.
The classic, the OG.
Classic.
The OG. Look, I won't lie. I was a fan. I don't know if you have them here. We have salt reduced. And I do prefer that. I sometimes find my beans are a little bit salty. Just like someone who went up against a fucking Slanesh player 3 times at a tournament. But other than that, I do understand some people like their beans a little salty. So let's do it. Let's send nudes. We only have 1 nude for today. And it is quite the doozy. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the video game Portal?
Yes.
You are? Okay, then this is going to be a lot easier to explain because I thought I was going to have to go into a deep dive. So for those who aren't aware, Portal, the video game, was a bit of a smash hit. It came out in a little combo box called the Orange Box, and it was by Valve, by a little subsidiary team in Valve, who made this game where you have a gun that shoots 2 portals. One portal you go through and one portal you come out. And so the whole video game was basically going through a science lab, and every room was a puzzle that you had to use your gun to get out of. It's really, really cool. They made a sequel, which was awesome, and it's not even just a cult following now. Half of gaming is the cult that likes it. So the photo that we're looking at, the nude that we're looking at, it appears to be the lead character. I can't remember what her name was. Do you remember what her name was?
Oh, I can't. It began with an E, I think, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It'll come to me halfway through the show here.
It will. Or someone in the chat will be like, "It's this your potato?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I am a potato, and thank you." But it's whoever the lead character was, because it's got like the trademark hair in a ponytail, though, because it's paint, it's 2D, and it's just sticking out to the side like an 80s side ponytail. And it's quite a close up. Wearing a
Chell, that was her name.
Chell,
Just came
yes,
with me.
that's it. I was thinking Ellie or L or something like that, but yeah, no, Chell, that is it. I wonder how many people. Sorry, just let me check. Yep, the chat's all there. The chat is all there. Wearing an orange shirt. It's just a block that has Aperture Science on it, which I do remember was the name of the big bad evil corporation. And she's looking quizzically at her portal gun. And you know it's quizzical because one eyebrow is higher than the other eyebrow. You know, like that's obviously, that's trademark quizzical. The portal gun is rendered in pretty decent detail, I have to say. It's got the gun, it's got the little clawy things. But the bit that she's looking quizzically at is the portal itself, which has been replaced with a baleful realm gate. Which I think is great. It's totally, yeah, definitely. She's all Portal is shooting freaking realm gates everywhere and running through it until you find the right answer. So do you have any questions about this photo before you score?
No, I'd say that's pretty good detail right there. Portal gun shooting realm gates. Characters Chell from
Yep,
Portal.
I won't lie. I'm getting quite good at describing art to people who haven't seen it. I think I should get a job in a museum and just explain things to people and be like, oh yes, this piece
The
is
museum for the blind, and you're
oh
the
man,
head
yes,
curator.
definitely. And everyone gets a little like they walk around and I just talk at them and tell them what they're looking at. Best part is won't even need art. I can just draw a visual picture. Okay, so that's for a fucking bullshit sidetrack. So there's lots of color. There's a bit of blue, like glowy blue in the gun thing. She's frowning. She's definitely frowning. I think she's surprised by what's going on. And the realm gate on the gun, it looks like it's been like photoshopped in from like the like an official picture. Like it's a very well painted realm gate.
Okay.
So yeah, let's shoot out of cans of baked beans. Sorry, I should have asked as well. What's the maximum number cans of baked beans that is a good thing?
I think you can. I say I think. I know you can buy them in a pack of 12.
Okay.
So I'd say it'd be like the eggs, up to 12. 12 is the best you can get.
12 is the best you can get on cans of baked beans. You heard it here first. So what do we score? Realm Gate Chell or Portal Realmal? I don't know. Anyway, what do we score it out of 12 cans of baked beans?
Before I scored, I did think of one question
Okay,
with the
shoot. Yeah,
the
go.
official
Yep.
With the realm gate art there. Can you see anything through that realm gate? Like, is there any iron jaws or anything like that?
No, it's blank white through the realm gate. So either going into Azir or possibly like someone's lightbox photo.
All right, in that case, I'll give it a 9.
Ooh.
9 out of 12 cans of baked beans.
9 beans out of 12.
And I went up to 9 because I was actually a huge Portal fan when it came out.
Yep,
so
good.
The nostalgia there.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the combination of a past interest of a current interest.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to dock off those few points because I think it just would have been better if there was, like, I don't know, new ogres or iron jaws beyond the Elven Gate coming at her or something.
Yeah. There's like if there was a tiny like keeper of secrets just popping up out of her gun. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm there. I think that's it. It's 3 points docked for lost potential.
Yep, I agree.
And now, if you are watching this, it's not that we think it's bad. It's just that it's basic. No, we can't say that. No, it's not that it's bad. It's just that we would have liked to see more. It's so wonderful. We wanted more.
Absolutely.
But again, 9 out of 12, still pretty good. I think that's a 75%, which is either a B plus or an A minus. Which is, let's be honest, it's better than some of the things that have been sent in over the time. And that was send nudes for today, ladies and gentlemen. That's just one nude today, down and dirty, nice and fast. And yeah, well, we're going to talk about basically now the thing that we're here to talk about, which is results, right? Because it's my favorite time of the year. It's when everything starts to build up and build up and build up. So as it all comes together and you start to get lots and lots of events, we start to get results, we start to get everything. It's awesome. So we've got a bunch of results to talk about. Specifically, we'll be going into the results that came out of Kipper's Melee. But just to run us through it, okay, so do you want to run us through the top 5 at Kipper's?
Yeah, let's see. Again, it was a 4-way tie for first place. It came down to kill points.
It was so the top 4 that you see, the top 4 results all went 4-1.
Yeah. And so in first place, we had a corn list, because of course if it comes down to kill points, it's going to be corn.
Well, to be fair though, not a corn list that I thought would get up there, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, and that's fair, because I mean, Based on
No, go.
previous corn lists you see do well, this one was definitely different.
And if I'm correct, it was Dan Wright's, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, so for those who don't remember from the list show, this is the Tyrants of Blood. So 3 Bloodthirsters, one of each Bloodthirster. But then that's not enough. But wait, there's more. One more Bloodthirster, and who could it be? Would you just go with another Wrath of Khorne? Maybe another Insensate Rage for the Explode? No, you go Scarbrand. So it's one of every Bloodthirster, Scarbrand, Slaughter Priest, Blood Secrator, and then just like minimum battle line with 5 Wrathmongers thrown in there. And that list took it out. Reapers of Vengeance, Quad Thirster. Were you excited to see that? Because that's kind of cool.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of figured he didn't come into necessarily win. He came in to have fun and just kill things.
Yeah.
But I think after a while, you kind of figure out, oh, hey, I can actually capture objectives with few bodies if everything else is dead.
Yeah, that's true. It's also that thing that I love seeing when people start going. They go to maybe their 3rd or 4th tournament, and they've just been going for fun and getting stomped, but the game has started to click. You know, they've started to get it there, and they suddenly go, "Wait a minute, I'm doing really well. Could I win this? No." But yeah, I dig seeing it. I love it. I mean, Tyrants of Blood has been super popular, but with Scarbrand in there as well, this list could have been in for a bad time if things hadn't had like played out poorly. So credit to Dan, not only for having an amazing name, but also for playing well with a tight list. So obviously, Bloodthirst is the ones to go with, right?
Yeah, and I was talking to him after the event, and because like some of the other players, he went 4-1, but his one was his first game.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, right.
So he lost his first game, and he was telling me like losing that first game kind of just it took the edge off. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm here to play. I'm just going to do my thing. And then it just snowballed out of control and just complete slaughter.
Well, I'd always tell the story of Sydney Sydney Slaughter rather. The year that I won it, I thought I was so far out. There was someone who'd won 5 games and I'd only won 4, but because of secondaries like painting, sports, and things like that, it wasn't heavily weighted, but it was rewarded. I ended up just having enough points to pip up to first. And I didn't think I was going to win. I thought I wasn't in for anything. So I was drunk to the eyeballs. Just beyond human. I think I gave a very, very ineloquent thank you speech. And yeah, I can only imagine what was going through his mind. But see, I thought I was out of it to the end. He probably started to think he was back into it towards the end, which means his relaxed, chill day suddenly twisted the thumb screws and put the pressure on, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was really something. Like day 1, he was just like, oh, okay, lost game 1. I'll be here to play. Going into day 2, he realized, oh, I'm going 2-1. That's pretty good. And then he started comparing the score of other people's and going, oh, a lot of people are 2-1. And then suddenly it just switched. It's like he went from, okay, I'm here to just bullshit around and just kind of have fun, to holy crap, I can win.
Yeah, and I think that just touching on what you just said there, something that really excites me. I don't necessarily think the meta is in this place at the moment, but kind of the bottom of day 1, top of day 2, there was really no clear winner. And then day 2 rocks around, and game 5, you had a table which was like only one person is on max wins. So if he gets the win, the tournament is his. No one can compete with that. However, if he loses, there is a real tight playoff for that first place spot. And that's one of the things I'm like, how cool is that? That vibe where everyone is suddenly like, if this, I like game 5, sometimes you see people who take their foot off the gas because they're like, if I can't podium or I can't win, I'm not going to put a crazy amount of pressure on myself. But I would have loved to be there. That's the thing that's killing me. That tension going into game 5 would have been incredible, right?
it was insane. Like I had people doing their game 5, not even realizing what the first place situation was.
Mm.
And when the player who was going 4-0 went 4-1, some of the other players went, "Wait a
What?
minute, he's 4-1. I'm 4-1." And then suddenly everyone started comparing kill points because they couldn't wait to see the results. There's like,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, on my podium, did I win?"
Yeah, it was. I think that's so exciting. I wish that could happen a little bit more. And to be honest, that's where some people, when I understand the desire not to have sports and painting add towards tournament scores. I completely do. But I kind of like it that coming to the end of a tournament, there might be a best general who is just the best tournament points flat. However,
Yep.
the thing I really, really like is when you see someone who's won by doing everything well, and that's kind of, I guess, where you had to be to take it out. So yeah, I liked it. I was sitting there frustrated, I won't lie, very frustrated watching it and being like, oh god, I just wish I was there. Vinod Sass is pointing out that his round 1 with Dan was a total bloodbath, given that he was playing the Iron Jaws that came in 5th. That is not surprising. In fact, I remember watching one of his games on the stream, which again was an awesome game. Oh, it's killing me. It's killing me. So many games. But in fact, do you want to talk about that game? Because I know that you were saying that was one of your favorite games of the entire weekend.
All the Iron Jaws games I got a real kick out of. It was, you kind of see their setup and go, okay, cool, take a picture so you can post it online later, walk around, see how everyone's doing, game starts, you go back to the Iron Jaws player, okay, it's a start of turn 1, and the Gore Gruntas are in enemy deployments.
Turn 1, hero phase. No, but yeah, it's crazy, right? In fact, I saw a photo that you took of, I think it was turn 1, and it was the Iron Jaws versus the Plague Monks. And the Plague Monks were just completely encircled by Gore Grunters, turn 1.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was sitting there. I've never had a game where I could walk up and go, huh, Iron Jaws have this, and then come back 20 minutes later and go, huh, Iron Jaws don't got this.
Yeah. It was. I was watching the stream because fortunately Ricky from Dimensional Cascade was able to get there on one of the Terror boats that just made it and didn't get lost. But yeah, and I was watching the stream and I saw turn 1 started. There was a shit ton of Plague Monks and a reasonable blob of blue, which was the Iron Jaws. And then by the bottom of turn 1, the chat was saying, nah, it's over. It's all over, Red Rover. No one's got it. You can't fight back. Maybe if he gets priority, he can make a game of it, but he can't win. And then by game 5, they'd managed to fight their way back out of that paper bag that they put them in and take the win. And the Pestilens managed to take the win, which was incredible. But as Vinod is saying in the chat, he reached his opponent's backboard at the top of turn 1. So his personal goal was achieved. But yeah, you're saying you loved watching all of them because it was just like watching, I assume, a magic show. Like, poof, now they're here.
Oh, absolutely. Like Iron Jaws, I got a kick out of them. In that game, like I said, it seemed obvious Iron Jaws would win, and it seemed obvious Skaven would win. Near the middle, I changed my opinion again. Went, oh, okay, Iron Jaws definitely have this, and then I came back and I was wrong.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, you've got this in the bag. You've what? You were? Which that kind of excites me. Like Iron Jaws for a very long time were the easy beats, unless they came up into a matchup or a play or a game or whatever, and they just dominated, which was really, really cool. And the Infinity War was definitely domination at its absolute finest. I felt like I'd gone into one of those places and they were like, we don't have safe words here when I played against it. But the thing that really kind of tickled me about that is it looks like they're much more dynamic. They might be punchy, but they've got to play tactical to get the win. And I find it so exciting and so interesting. I think the Cities book and the Warclans books are amazing for that. Do you have an opinion on them? How do you feel about them?
I haven't looked that much into the Iron Jaws. I don't have the Iron Jaws or the Bone Splitter army. I dove in the cities like no other.
Yeah, right. Okay, so wait. Okay, well, I know we're talking about Iron Jaws, and I'm so sorry, chat. We're going to talk about my personal favorite cities of Sigma. What city is tickling you the most? What do you like the most about the book? What is it?
Well, the two I have three.
Okay.
One of them is just because of the flavor. Two of them just because they seem really fucking good.
Okay, yep, sweet.
Um,
Okay, so let's start with flavor and go to salt. How does that sound?
all right, flavor wise,
Mhm.
it's Tempest Eye. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
The fact you can like move up the board so fast, kind of like an Iron Jaws player
Hmm.
apparently, and increase your save so you're not blown out in that first initial move. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Plus, you can have your shooters in the back and move them up quickly to get them in range.
I mean, hey,
Oh,
I'd
I
be
love
excited
it.
about having Dispossessed in there and being like, I'm movement 7!
Yeah,
Everybody!
no kidding.
Everybody! I'm almost double my movement and then I can run. If I use a command point or roll a 6, I am movement 13, which is the fastest a Dispossessed model has ever been able to move. If I also have the cogs, I could potentially just fly across the board. It gets me, I won't lie, it gets me very hot under the collar thinking about that. Like,
I mean,
I could go to a gentleman's club and not be as excited as Tempest Eye excites me about Dispossessed movement. Sorry, but just the fiction and all the background of Tempest Eye you love?
oh, I love all that. Like all
Mm.
the cities have really good background.
So
I
awesome.
love Tempest Eye being up in the mountains and all that,
Hmm.
and like the Stormcast prosecutors are a big thing in that city.
Yep.
So I love that stuff. Um,
I love the little world building moments, like the wanderers, even in the living city, kind of live in like not slums, but the outer shittier parts of the city because the Sylvaneth still haven't forgiven them. And even though the
yep.
wanderers do the majority of the fighting to protect the living city and the dying, they're basically dying. They almost want to die to prove to the Sylvaneth how much they're willing to repent for those past mistakes, and yet the Sylvaneth is still like, yeah, but we're heaps cooler with dwarves and men than we are with you, elves. That for
They're
me was
not
great.
wrong.
No, no, definitely not. Dwarves and men are heaps better than elves. Not that I'm carrying my old world bias over, but I'm totally carrying my old world bias. But yeah, so you're digging them, and that. So talk to me about the two that you like for gameplay, because I want to know if it's one of them. I'm gonna guess one of them's Hello Heart.
Yep, you
Yep, there
got
we
it.
go. Yeah, nailed it to the wall.
Yeah, because what I think the rules off the top of my head it was they can cast an additional spell.
Mm-hmm.
I think the formation that you can bring, and the thing I love about the formation, it doesn't say battle mages. It says Hallowheart wizards, so you can
Mm-hmm.
bring the dark elf sorceress or stormcast and all
Yep.
that, and they can be part of the formation.
Yep.
And assuming they all have a base one spell, just having 6 wizards and cast 12 spells, it's I mean, it's not unheard of,
No,
but
and somewhere you're looking
compared
at
to what it used to be,
Nagash being like, I can cast more than you can unbind.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like Nagash is like, wait, what? No, I saw that as well. Hallowheart is just the incomparable masters of magic, which is wicked. But army wise as well, it seems like a fun army to play too, which kind of excited me.
Yeah, with all those spells they have, they can
Mm-hmm.
do weapon buffs. Because I think can't remember the name of the spell, but I think it's add 1 to wounds, and you can, like throw that on great swords or something, and
Yeah,
it's just they
and
melt you.
yeah, the amount of damage they can put out in a really small space. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Hello Heart, I think we're going to see a lot of, and we're probably going to see a lot of done well. What's your other? Because you said there were two. You said there were two that you liked competitively.
Well, you guessed Hallowheart. I want to see if you can guess the other one.
Okay, I want to guess my favorite city, which is the Greywater Fastness. However, I don't know if that's going to be your other favorite. I think your other favorite is going to be Anvilgard.
It's not Anvilgard because I'm actually not a huge fan of much of those dark elf models.
Fair, good, because they're elves and they're pieces of shit. Okay, what's the other one? What is it?
Well, it's a living city, and
Oh, of course, of course.
the main reason for that one is because I have a whole bunch of Iron Drakes,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to bring them in on from the side or from the back or something, and
Yeah.
just melt something is just oh.
I used to take the Living City just using the Firestorm rules, which for those who don't know were the really old rules from a like a narrative thing that they became, and you could do the same. You could pop on from board edges or from Sylvaneth Wildwoods, which the Tree Lord Ancient used to be able to summon all by himself on a 4-up. So I did the same thing, and it was so fun popping dwarf. Like I took a dispossessed list, like a dispossessed formation that gave me the command abilities of dispossessed, and then I'd take a Tree Lord Ancient, and that was the list. And the best thing was when you play against Sylvaneth, it doesn't say friendly Sylvaneth Wildwoods. It just says Sylvaneth Wildwoods. So I played 3 Sylvaneth players, and they put their Wildwood down, and then I'd take turn 1 because I was a 2-drop, and I would immediately deploy a unit in their Wildwoods. And they were like, wait, what? And I'm like, they're my trees now. So I dig it. I love that that the Living City has that. It's also that cool, is it Fire and Fade Away, where they can shoot and then move?
If I remember correct, oh, actually, I don't think they can move. Oh no, wait, it's a command ability, isn't it,
Yeah.
for that to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is.
Which is just amazing because it means you can pop up, shoot, move in, and have a really close charge. Or the other thing that I was thinking about, you could pop up at maximum weapon range, right? So let's say you're 18
Yep.
inches away, shoot, and then move further away so you kind of make it so your opponent can't even charge you in their turn, depending on how fast they are. It's just, it's real clever. It's so versatile. Nemesis in the chat is saying having a hard time moving away from Living City when he builds his lists, and I take it that's kind of the thing that's tickling your plums as well.
Well, I've always been such a big fan of Iron Drakes. Even before this book, Iron Drakes were never bad. They were a
Yeah.
good, solid unit.
Mm.
But the thing that I realized after reading the book a couple times is when you pop them up, that doesn't count as a move.
Yep, that's it.
And Iron Drakes get a buff for not moving, so not only are you popping them up right there and melting something, is you're getting the proper buffs for it too. And then with that command ability, you can fuck off right after.
Yeah. And
I love it.
They're a 16-inch range as well. So you can
Yep.
pop up, shoot, and like even if they zone you 9 inches out, right? If you have to be 9 inches away, they need to be another 7 inches from their back from their screening unit to keep what you want to shoot safe from Iron Drakes, which is, I as a dispossessed player, I'm a huge fan of Iron Drakes. I'm all about it. They tickle my plums, and they have a big points reduction from 180 per 10 to 150 per 10. They got a slight nerf. They used to be able to move and double shoot. Now they can't. But that said, there are so many different ways to teleport them around. And like you say, Living City, just being like, here's 10 Iron Drakes. They fire 18 like balls to the wall brutal shots. And then they fire another 2 like D3 or D6 damage monster hunters. They're amazing.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw this, but Longbeards, right? Bless the Longbeards. Yep. For 110 points, their ability used to be reroll 1s to wound in the combat phase. It's now just reroll 1s to wound. So if you pop up, let's say 2 units of Iron Drakes or a unit of 20 Iron Drakes and a unit of 10 Longbeards near them, or the Longbeards just need to be near them, their Grumble lets them reroll 1s to wound. You can use a command ability or something to give them reroll 1s to hit, meaning that you can have 3s rerolling 1s to hit, 3s rerolling 1s to wound, rend 1, potentially rend 2 if you've got a Rune Lord, damage 1 shots. And it's 20 shots for the minimum unit size. That's just insane. And it melts everything.
Wow.
It's a great little combo, and I'll be real surprised to see that not being used. That, and then Sisters of the Thorn, so Sisters of the Watch, because they get to shoot when you charge them as well. It's all over the shop. So that's getting you in the happy place.
Oh, absolutely does. Those Sisters of the Watch are amazing too, and don't like using elves all that much, but even I put them in a list going, yeah, I'll probably get a couple boxes and give it a whirl.
Convert them into dwarves wearing stilts.
Have you seen, I think I saw them making the rounds on Facebook, someone took their old dispossessed warriors and put them on stilts and using them as greatswords?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know how I feel about that. Not sold on stilts to be shoddy little humans, but stilts for longer range to shoot things better. That I feel like emotionally I could get behind. My
Fair
dwarven
enough.
heritage, but then again, I'm saying they should be on stilts to mimic elves, which shows you just how far I've fallen. Anyway, that's our Cities of Sigmar sidetrack. We were supposed to be talking about the event. We got talking about Cities of Sigmar, even though they didn't feature in the top five. But who cares? Cities of Sigmar is rad. I'm about to crack my second drink. I started with a little vodka. Are you having a drink, or are you being nice, clean, and clear-headed today?
I'm being nicer, in which I'm not drinking as much as last time I was on here.
Fair. That's good.
But
That's appropriate.
I do have a tall can of, what is this? Windstorm West Coast Pale Ale.
Ooh, nice, cheeky
What
little West Coast Pale Ale. I'm drinking a slow and low rock and rye, which is apparently straight rye whiskey, honey, a navel orange, bitters, and rock candy, which was gifted to me by Nemesis and Cool Bunny to drink on the stream. So I just
Oh, there you go.
it's oh my gosh, oh wow, okay, it's a peely can lid. Uh, okay, that smells a little interesting, but cheers to everyone, to your health, and may the dice always betray you if you don't play dispossessed. Oh my goodness, that's remarkable. That's I don't even know what that is. I mean, there's sweetness, there's sugar to it, but sweet Betty Dingus, that tastes like alcoholic Christmas, or maybe Easter might be the better way to do it. Alcoholic Easter. I am celebrating the holidays by getting super tanked. Anyway, we're talking about events, results. Blades of Corn took out first place. Now that Blades of Corn list had the for those who've come in late, 3 Bloodthirsters, one of each thirster, and then a bonus Bloodthirster being Scarbrand. Second place. Now I'm just checking. Do I have mine right? Was Daughters of Cain in second?
Yep.
Yes. And this list obviously only got second place for one reason, correct?
Kill points.
But more so than kill points, there was one thing this list had that meant that all those shithouse elves were supported, because they obviously couldn't do the job themselves. They needed some help to get there. And what was the one thing this list had that helped them get there?
Oh, it's our dear friend Gotrek.
Yes, Mr. Gurnison himself. Marathi, fuck off, couldn't do it. Gotrek, on the other hand, coming in there like a sack full of cats to wreck up your day. Because if you don't have Gotrek, Vanilla Assassin in the chat is saying Gotrek of Cain, which I'm not okay with. Gotrek could murderize Cain in a heartbeat. And that's probably stats and fiction official somewhere. But yeah, Gotrek obviously carrying that army, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, I know there was times in some games where it was basically the elves were just protecting Gotrek.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's all they were doing, just kind of walking around him to get him up the board. And once he was able to break free from them, he just slammed hard.
So what you're saying is the elves' job was to be a meat shield for the good part of the army.
I'd say that's pretty damn accurate.
Yeah, and I'd also love to see. I hope the players kept the stats so I can check which of Gotrek and Marathi killed more, because I'd be real surprised if it was Marathi. But yeah, Daughters of Cain carried to second place by Gotrek. And then coming in third, Legion of Sacrament, which were arguably quite competitive when the Grand Host and Nagash book come out, and have stayed in that kind of A range, that like top 5 range, consistently since the New General's Handbook. But yeah, were you interested to see this come out?
Yeah, definitely. When it started doing so well, I took a closer look at the list and at the actual deployments. And what he was doing, it was basically, instead of bunching everything together, he made sure everything was an inch apart. So that really helped with the objective grabbing.
Mm-hmm. He just had the absolute range.
Oh, absolutely. Like he would have a block of guys, but instead of them being in a bubble, they would be all stretched out across the board.
Hmm.
So basically, in games where, because Kippers basically ran almost all the random objective games.
Which I was going to chat to you about, but you know what? Fuck it, let's have a chat about it right now.
But
So
yeah, yeah, but
Kippers was
the
all
big
random.
perk, yeah, and the big perk of spraying them out like that is no matter where the objective would land or run off to or whatever,
Mm.
was basically he had models near it at all times.
The spread in the
Um,
bodies to be wherever you needed to be.
Exactly. Because,
Mm.
I mean, you might sit there and think, like, oh, maybe he only had two models on it, but it's better to have two models on it, especially when your opponent doesn't have anything near it. And then you kind of just start taking models off the appropriate spots in that
Mm.
time when they start dying.
And
But I also want to mention
oh yeah,
Archon
shoot.
himself, because that Curse of Years is
Oh,
freaking terrifying.
Curse of Years is just uh, insanely powerful. However, also very random. So it is.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it for that reason. But when you see someone just roll up all of that, I had it happen to me, and 40 models got taken off in a second. I was like, oh god, no.
I saw it in action a couple times, but
Mm,
in the one game against the Skaven player, who we'll
mm.
talk about soon because he came fourth.
Yeah.
Um, the Skaven player took his plague monks out of reach of his ward save or feel no pain save or whatever you want to call it, the
Oh
range he
no.
gets from the plague furnace,
Yeah.
and so he did Curse of Years on that unit
Oh no.
and hit the lucky number one.
Oh gosh, and just like 40 wounds, take him off the table.
Yep, and
Take your
so
toys off.
yep, it was brutal. They even called me over to make sure because it was so devastating. They want to make sure they did it right.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, ones only fail on hits, wounds, and I believe saves.
Hmm.
And I even checked the FAQ and everything. Like,
Yeah.
yep, sorry, unit got melted.
No, that is in fact a well-known horror of that spell that the unit goes if it hits it, and which is where I think the the best part of that spell, and I would hazard that just about most people would agree with me, so it's not a controversial thing. But the best part of the spell isn't the spell it going off; it's your opponent's knowledge that it could. Because I'd say of every Ark in the Black I have played against, it's probably been successfully cast against me once, maybe twice. In all the games I've ever played against Arkan, both pre and post the Grand Host and Nagash book. However, the memory and the fear of that spell is enough to keep Arkan the Black like either the target of everything that can hit him or so far out of range that he can't hurt you. And I mean, given that this uh, uh, army with Ark and the Black having the command thing that extends the range of spells, it's hard to do. But yeah, I would say, wouldn't you agree? Like the terror is more powerful than the spell.
Well, I'm on the flip side where I also have Legions of Nagash. I have Archon and Legion of Sacrament, and I haven't played the army a whole lot. But I've probably
Mm-hmm.
played it 8 to 10 times, and
Mm-hmm.
I've brought Archon every time.
Mm.
And of course, I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I'm going to get the spell off, and that unit's gone.
Yeah, right.
Not once have I hit that magical infinite one.
Though, oh, sorry. There's in the chat there's some new news. Apparently, uh, Curse of Years is shit now because with the Bone Reapers release, he's been given a new a brand new War Scroll, and the ones can
No!
fail. Is this sorry, chat? Please confirm. We need to check
What?
this. Also, why the hell is Arkin the Black uh, in that one? This is massive. This is
No
insane.
kidding!
Looking at it, let's have a quick look. Curse of
I'm bringing it
Years.
up myself.
A roll of a one always fails. So,
Oh!
R.I.P. in peace. Everyone in the chat, please pay your respects. Give a quick prayer for Ark in the Black. He has now. I mean, he's still terrifying. You get it down to ones, and you potentially you could be rolling for days. But ones always fail now. Ark in the Black. We hardly knew ye, and we shall now see less of ye. But yeah,
Thank God this thing isn't official yet, because my stomach would have just turned.
yeah. I believe though that that's going to be that. What's that? A week, 2 weeks? That'll be locked in, and that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
in a week.
Yeah, once the book. No, that wouldn't have been. Well, literally, I think that updated on Monday, with the new releases being like coming in. So
Yeah.
yeah, Arcan, it was tough, and I'm sorry. It's tough to see you go, but buddy, that's what happens. So potentially the last time we'll see Arcan the Black in third place, but congratulations to him for getting that. What a fun exploration we've got on here today. And as we were saying, he got the win deleting 40 wounds of Plague Monks of the fourth placed player, the Skaven Tide player, who just had a metric fuck ton of rats.
Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of Skaven lists, and it's mostly like Warplock Giselles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw his list, his name's Mike, and I saw it was all pestilence except for the leader,
Mm-hmm.
who was Thanquil and Bone Ripper. And for those who don't know, the Plague Monks are battle line if everything else is pestilence, but your
Mm-hmm.
general can be Master Clan.
Yeah, well,
So
because
he took
Master Clan
advantage of
goes
that.
everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. So he took advantage of that and used Thanquil and Bone Ripper, and it looked like Thanquil had a lot of fun, because I think, I can't remember the stats exactly, but I think his Warp Fire launchers or something do you roll dice equal to the amount of models in the unit or something, and it's 2 shots on top of that.
Yep, depending on how many of the Warp Fryer projectors you gave him, yeah, he is just an absolute horde deleter with Bone Ripper in the shooty version.
Yeah, because I know in that same game, he ripped apart some skeletons pretty easily too.
That wouldn't surprise me. Now, Thankwall and Bone Ripper, you rarely saw. Only a handful of people ever took him previously, but now you see him not all the time, but he's starting to make a comeback because he is finally at 400 points. He's probably still a little bit overcosted because if he goes up against something that's not a horde, he's not doing much to it. However, he's now at a point where you can take him.
I think a lot of people are taking him because they're just waiting for those Gotrek lists to come up, and they want Thanquil versus Gotrek.
Oh, look, that's all I'd want as well, except the only problem is Gotrek wouldn't go anywhere near him, because my favourite thing from the old world was that Thanquil and Bone Ripper thought that Gotrek and Felix was his nemesis that were constantly out to thwart his plans, but in reality, they had no idea who the fuck he was. Like, they were just, they didn't even, like, Gotrek cut off his hand, and then didn't even recognize the one-handed Skaven when he came up against him when he first saw him. Again. Like, it's just that kind of stuff. But the list, for those who are interested, was Thanquil and Bone Ripper, and 2 Plague Priests on Plague Furnace, then 120 Plague Monks, 2 tens of Plague Monks, a Congregation of Filth, and the Bell of Doom, just to have that cheeky extra endless spell there. Which, let's be honest, they're Plague Monks are pretty fucking badass.
They are. I'm amazed I don't see them more often, because from the lists I've seen for Skaven, everyone likes the acolytes, the Scryer acolytes.
Yeah.
And they're super good, but in that Congregation of Filth, those Plague Monks do not go away.
No, and then you kill them and they've got a prayer, so they're piling in and attacking when they die. I think the reason you don't see Plague Monks, and what I would almost love a late game FAQ just to change, is their attack profiles. Games Workshop have done such a good job of being like, oh, you've got a sword and shield, you get this. You've got 2 swords, you get this. But with Plague Monks, if they have the knives, they've got this. If they've got the knife and the pole, they've got this. And you have to roll so many different attacks because there's so many different abilities. And to be honest, as much as I might like the models and think the concept is cool, I'd just be like, fuck that combat phase. I'm going to play Molder and have 6 models and a 1-legged duck, because I'm not rolling 600 dice separately in 20 dice chunks.
Yeah, I used to play Gloomspite Gits, and I ran a list of 180 goblins, and I played one game and went, oh, that was horrible.
That was just pure. But yeah, You're like, no, 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 never again. I don't have enough dice. The world doesn't have enough dice to play this army.
But I understand why some people like that stuff. Just not
Exactly.
my thing.
Just it's not you. Now, rounding out the top five was Iron Jaws, who we're going to have a look at some other results from around the world in a moment. And surprisingly, since the War Clans book has shown out, the Iron Jaws are making a bit of a show of themselves.
Yeah, it's well deserved because I mean, for a while there, they were just treading water. They weren't doing much at all.
Every now and then you'd have one that would blow out. Like, in fact, this player who took out fifth place, Alex, took out second, I believe, at both, I think, Attack X and at Wet Coast GT. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I know you're in the chat. Please correct me. So, obviously, you could do well with them, but it took either like a perfect mind or a perfect setup or whatever. But now we're starting to see them get more results, which they deserve. They've been the easy beats for a very long time.
Yeah, because I know in my local meta, even before the book, Iron Jaws were king. Like we had one Iron Jaws player, and it was the goal was to always take him down, just
Really?
because. Yeah.
Far out.
But he'd be running this couple Maul Crushes and all the Gore Grunts again. So in your face, turn one, try to table you, that kind of strategy. But that's at that same time in the global scale. You look at tournament results around the world, and Iron Jaws weren't there.
No,
you kind of see them in that 10th place mark, sometimes lower. Once in a while, they'll creep up in top 5, but they rarely ever made podium.
Yeah, I think if LLV, I don't know if you're in the chat or not, but I feel like their win rate was around the high 30s or the low 40s. Actually, it might have even been worse than that. So they were by no means living the life of Riley. But now we're starting to see, with the turn of this book, that them start to have the punch to either hold out or the damage to put themselves in a good place. So I'm liking it. The list. Do you happen to have the list in front of you?
Yeah, sure do.
Yeah, mate, run us through it.
Sure. So for leaders, he had a Mega Boss on Wall Crusher. He had a really cool converted one too. I really liked that thing. After that, he had 2 War Chanters, a Mega Boss on foot, and for his battle line, Gore Gruntas, 2 units of 6, 2 units of 3s, and the Gore Fist Battalion.
Yeah, so 18 Gore Grunters in a Gore Fist. With an extra command point, right? Of course.
Yeah, with the extra command point as well.
Because you can't go without. So it just maximum battle pigs, which they're universally useful. The one thing I'll say is that this list would constantly find itself without bodies. So
yeah,
that's where I think, like, turn 1 you come up against armies like Gloomspite Gits or like Pestilence. You're like, I need to kill bodies. I mean, you can because of smash and a bash and letting you attack before they get to attack you back. But it's very, very easy to outnumber them on all of those objectives.
Yeah, I will say in the last game he had, if I remember correctly, he was facing Gloomspite Gits. And even though Gloomspite Gits had all those bodies, he was just in their face turn 1.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even maneuver all that well to get to the objective. So that I see one benefit there, where even if they have tons of bodies, if you can just hold them up in one space, it doesn't matter how many bodies you have. You're not going anywhere.
With my Dispossessed pre-Cities of Sigmar, I've played against a similar list to this one a couple of times, and that's exactly what happened. They just pin you in and ring you with them. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter that they might not score for the entire game. They score for turn 1, turn 2, and they pin you into your deployment for the first 3 turns of the game. You might kill them all, but even after that, you can't score enough points or move fast enough to pick it up. Though it does sound like in his 4th game or 3rd game against the Pestilence army, it was that case. Smashed them turn 1, did an insane amount of damage, but they were just able to push their way back out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in games like that, it just turns into you got to kill as many as you can by, say, the end of turn 2. And if you don't reach that goal, it turns into an uphill battle.
But, again, awesome game. I remember watching it and watching the game on Demcast's stream and being like, holy shit, that turn 1 was insane. The amount of toys taken off the board by the Gore Grunters was incredible. And I was like, how does he get back into it? What does he do? And he did. Like, watching it, Priority went back to Pestilence, and they fought their way out of a dry paper bag, and ended up like hustling back for the win in the 5th turn, that was awesome. It was a great game. I mean, obviously, go.
Yeah, I think the Skaven player at that point actually won every single turn priority as well.
Oh wow, yeah. So he kind of had that over the barrel.
Yeah, because he got the so he went second turn 1,
Mm-hmm.
then went first turn 2, so he had the double turn,
Mm.
and then after that, Ironjawz never got the double turn.
Just didn't have the chance. Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Fair. It's tough, but that's it's always hard when you. I guess the priority roll, it can win you the game, but you can't play for it. Though you should have a chance to get in there. Oh, Bucket Ninja 31 dropping in the chat. Good evening, Nisabs. Good evening, you delicious snack. We are talking about event results, and we were just talking about the results coming out of Kipper's Melee, which were really cool. I won't lie, the top 4 of the top 5 armies I would expect to be doing well, though maybe doing it in slightly different ways. And then Warclans, I was really excited to be sitting up there. Ironjawz getting their first one out. Now, do you have any last things you want to talk about that one before we just quickly flick through some other results from around the world?
Well, one thing I did want to say, one thing I absolutely loved is for my top 5 there. Not one army dominated. For one, as we already know, it was a really, really close podium. But every single army was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, $3 a cane and 2 of this and with slight differences. Like, no, they were all totally different. And I absolutely love seeing that. That's the result I want to see at the end of the day from my tournament. You can't really force that to happen, of course, but I'm relieved it did.
No, well, you set up a tournament where that could happen. And I remember the last time we were talking, you were saying you chose the majority of your objectives were random objectives. There was shifting objectives, Star Strike, and Relocation Orb. So most tournament packs might have one of those, whether it's shifting objectives or Relocation Orb. You put in 3 because it was like, you're going to have to play fast across a board that's changing. Your objectives aren't reliant. Like, it's good. It's great. And just as there should be tournaments that don't have any of those games because they're like, I don't want the random aspect, there should be tournaments exactly like yours. They're like, yes, all of them, because that's what we want to do. That's what it's about. So yeah, I dug it. I thought it was really awesome. But yeah, I'm keen, and I just bummed entirely that I couldn't be there. I was trapped on the other side of a fucking river, whatever, ocean, just being like, please go away, wind. Though it was... When we got told there would be no more boats, right, we'd all been waiting there for about, I think, 9.5, 10 hours at this point. And a boat had just started sailing from the other side and had gotten 20 minutes out from the port on the other side, coming to pick us all up and take us over there. And the call was made at about that 20-minute point. So I don't know what was happening on that last boat, that one boat they tried to send across, but I imagine it was abject terror. Because they've called 20 minutes in and just been like, no more boats. Ever. Just no more boats tonight. There was like 3 more boats supposed to come. No boats. No boats! So I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was the captain from Titanic who was just planning on going down with the ship, but it had to be insane for that to be the case. But yeah, Bucket Ninja dropping in again for the first time in a while. G'day. So yeah, that was awesome. And I'm bummed. Next year, I guess I'll just have to go on the Thursday in case there's something, so that I can chill out on Friday and then I'll plan for fail, and worst case scenario, I'll put it all in a dinghy and just, I don't know, sail there. So other results that we saw from around the world: the SoCal Open GT, the SoCal Open Grand Tournament, it's just lots of Open GT. It's just lots of secondary words in there that obviously for the panache of how fancy it was. Won by Fire Slayers, right? Second went to Nighthaunt. Third, Grand Host and Nagash. Same place as Kippers. Fourth went to Skaven Tide, and then 5th went to Grand Host of Nagash as well. So that's yeah, right? Not too shabby.
No Daughters, no Slanesh. Interesting.
No Flesh Eater Courts. And two Grand Host and Nagash in there is kind of, I'm like, oh, okay. Nighthaunt, I think Nighthaunt is a very competitive army. They just need a couple of things to go their way. Sometimes a bad draw against Nighthaunt can be quite crippling, but they got to be played smart, so they got to do well. I think it was Jeremy Visevisevisevihover, whose name I can never pronounce, who took the Fire Slayers to first, which I'm always excited about. More beards and more naked butts taking up first place is what the world needs. But yeah, what do you reckon about that? Fire Slayers, Nighthaunt, Grand Host, and Nagash, and Skaven Tide in the top 5.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is it's really nice seeing all these events that have more of a wider spread.
Mm-hmm.
It's a breath of fresh air to not see Flesh Eater Courts all the time or Slanesh all the time.
Yeah.
They still, they do really well, which is perfectly fine. But it is nice seeing these other armies kind of gain their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe push the meta just a little bit to get into the good one.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say for Fire Slayers,
yeah,
it's surprising in the sense that it's like, oh, it's not Daughters of Cain, it's not Slanesh, therefore it's surprising to me. But it's a solid army. So hearing that they won a tournament isn't exactly the most mind-blowing thing.
I think they were, to be honest, they're victims of the expense of the models, because in it for the longest time, Fire Slayers have been way overpriced for to try and buy an army. So no one bought an army, which is fair enough. It was 100 points for 10 models, and you needed 90 to 120 of them in your army. So it's like, all right, I need to buy $900 worth of basic infantry. However, seeing them do well now, I'm always stoked. I think they're not only interesting, they've earned it. Don't you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. They just their play style is sweet, but the aesthetic, people joke about little naked dwarves. That's funny.
Yeah.
They're badass.
No,
they're such badasses.
They're badass. The thing I do like about them is they have to be played well. I really like reading the Fire Slayers book. They are a powerful army, but it would be very easy not to harness it and to take a powerful list and to mess it up. They're a good army. They're a tactical army that needs to be played well and tactically to do well. So taking out the first tier means they played the crap out of them. Mikhail Lennon says, and again, I apologize, I butcher all names in the chat, says there were no Slanesh in the top 15 at the SoCal, which is insane.
Wow.
Yeah. That's absolutely huge. The fly the hat saying, did you miss much? Unfortunately, the revelation that Curse of Years has been nerfed alongside Iron Warriors, which is just about everybody in the 40k side of things, either surprised, happy, or disappointed by that one. But apparently the Skaven Tide list that came in 4th at the SoCal Open was just a hard counter for Hedonites of Slanesh. And so it was the gatekeeper that kept Slanesh down, which I'm fine with. I know that there are Slanesh players in the chat. I don't know if you're a Slanesh player, but I'm fine with there being someone who was like, no, piss off, you bloody... yeah. It was a Gracier, from what I recall, it was a Gracier on a Bell, another hero, a ton of Clan Rats, Plague Monks, and then I think Stormfiends, or was it Rat Hoogers? Maybe Rat Hoogers. Anyway, there was like no depravity on it whatsoever. Mikhail Lennon in the chat, Belseer, a Screaming Bell, a Gracier on foot, a Warlock, 60 Clan Rats, 80 Plague Monks, Stormfiends. Oh, and the Storm Scream Wrench. There you go. So it was a good list that basically flung minimum, like, no depravity bodies at their opponent. Which is, Slanesh would be like, please just be worth a depravity point to me. So yeah, I'm digging it. A lot of Slanesh there, and I'm always happy, even though Nighthaunt twice now have kicked my ass to take out an event. I am quite happy seeing them do well because they're something unique. Now, we have 2 more lots of results to talk about, and you know how we were just saying, what were the armies we were just talking about that you were excited not to see dominating everything?
Oh, Slanesh, Daughters of Cain.
And there was one more, being the Flesh Eater Courts. Well, I have some terrible, terrible news. Uh,
No.
at two other events, Bloodshed in the Shires, Flesh Eater Courts took out third and fifth. And at the Dragonfall GT, Slanesh took out first and second.
Of course it did.
however, Warclan's Ironjaws took out first at Bloodshed in the Shires and third and fifth at the Dragonfall GT. So
There we
Ironjaws
go.
more represented than Flesh Eater Courts and Slanesh. They might not have gotten necessarily universally as high. I mean, they have a first there, but Warclan's representing, which is that's nice to see, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's again, it's a breath of fresh air when it's not the same armies over and over. Of course, Slanesh and such are still doing extremely well. But
Yeah.
it is again, it's just nice having that nice spread of armies. Right? It's not just the same ones over and over and over.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like seeing, for me, but Warclan's Ironjaws go, what's that, across 4 tournaments, they've taken 4 top 5 spots in the 2 weeks since the book. So there's all these people, obviously, with Ironjaw's army that haven't been able to do anything with them, that finally have the opportunity and are like, we're going to smash some face. So, no, and do notice Lugnut Samad, who isn't currently in the chat, I don't believe, though now that I've spoken about him, it's like the Candyman that's probably summoned him. But I do notice that none of it is Warclan's Bone Splitters, just Ironjaws. And I actually, in the little pick-me-up tournament that gave me faith in the human race again, after I'd completely given up all hope in the world, after not making it across to I did play him, and he absolutely shit-mixed me with Bone Splitters. So I won't lie, I'm surprised not to see Bone Splitters do well. But yeah, it's all Ironjaws, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Ironjaws. I think lots of it comes down to like not only are Ironjaws good, but they are some of the most gorgeous models in the whole Age of Sigmar line. A lot of people kind of just compare when they compared to Bone Splitters. There, they'd see, naked greenworks. I'm going to go for the heavily armored ones because they look cooler.
Yeah, and the Bone Splitters are also slightly older models. One of the things I notice about Ironjaws is you see conversions a lot less in Ironjaw's armies. Now, sure, that might be because they're a little bit, I don't know, easier to put together because they're bigger pieces. It's like playing Duplo as opposed to Lego. However, that I would also say it's because brutes are gorgeous models. You don't need to convert much. You can maybe add a few more decorative skulls, and when people do convert them, they obviously make them absolutely beautiful. But there's something to be said for the sculpting and design of an entire range that is so gorgeous. You don't actually have to do anything with it. You can just put it on the table, and so many choose to, because it just looks awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely huge. I know when I played Ironjaws back in the day, building them was also super easy. It does kind of hurt in the conversion thing because it did say like, oh, this is arm A, so it goes on body A and yada yada yada. So things lined up a certain way, so that made it hard to convert them. But when it was all said and done, you have them built, you put them on the table and go, well, they're badass anyway, so why would I change that?
Exactly. I mean, I've built models before that I was like, oh, like they're locked into one pose. You know, they're the monopose stuff. And you're like, oh, it's not even that good. Where sometimes you have them and they're not the best poses, but they're loose enough that you can convert. Whereas I'd say that's probably a reason we don't see a crazy amount of Ironjaws conversions. They're slightly harder to convert. However, are they not just wonderful models by themselves? So if you are going to have single monopose models, they may as well look this freaking good. But all the results from those two events, right? So Bloodshed in the Shires. First, as we were talking about, Warclan's Ironjaws. Second, Fire Slayers. Third, Flesh Eater Courts. Fourth, Seraphon. Just let that sink in, right? Seraphon taking out fourth. Anytime I see Seraphon do well, I'm excited, so I like seeing that. And then fifth place, Flesh Eater Courts again. But let's talk about the heroes at this event. The Seraphon getting in fourth. Warclan's Ironjaws, clearly the stats are showing that you should have done okay. You deserve your spot. You played well, but Ironjaws are doing quite well. Fire Slayers, as we've spoken about, competitive and good. Flesh Eater Courts piss right off. In fact, Austin, can we have a moment everyone in the chat, one like equals one prayer or whatever. Good friend of the show, Nemesis in the chat. He messaged me the other day because he bought his first Start Collecting Flesh Eater Quartz box.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm worried for him and about him. So, yeah,
stick with free cities.
stick with free cities because no, and you know, like you're saying that you need to have the army so that you can prepare to fight against them and other people can, but we know the truth. So Grail asking the chat the obvious question, and I don't know if you have an answer to this, Austin, but is this one of those times where maybe he needs to be put down? You know, like maybe it's like old Yeller. We've had a great run, and you know it's been beautiful, but once you go flesh
you know,
quartz,
I feel there's always a chance for regret.
mm-hmm.
I'll admit I got the Slanesh half of that Corn Demons versus Slanesh box they had a while ago.
Okay, but did you buy a keeper?
No, I just got that half because I was like, oh hell yeah, Slanesh, and I just did nothing with it.
Praise, thank you. Thank goodness, because that I don't know if I could have handled that. I mean, putting down two beautiful people in one day. So Grail, I guess we're making the call now. Anyone who plays Flesh Eater Quartz or starts playing Flesh Eater Quartz needs to be put down. But Seraphon coming in fourth. Sweet Betty Dingus, right? Like, that's just... Ooh, that's awesome.
It must have been a summoning machine list. That's my guess.
Yeah, but you know what? I've seen... apparently it was pterodons. I know I found this list, and I could not believe it. I did actually, when I first saw it, I didn't believe it was the list that took it out. Let me have a look. But I think it had pterodons, which for my money, I don't want to brag, but I was all about pterodons. I built 9 of them because I was like, pterodons flying over mortal wounds, like that's the one. Damn it, can't find it. Someone will find it. I'm sure someone will find it and comment in the chat. It was oh my gosh. Okay, sorry, I was right. It was pterodons, and Blaze Be Mad is saying it was a 21 pterodon list with double Shadowquake. Wait, Shadow Strike or Thunderquake? Because Shadowquake is 2 different ones. Segrail, Horrified, Fair, and yes, it ended up on the stream. But that's just incredible, right?
Well, I'm always biased towards the underdog. I mean, to me, a Seraphon has never been like an extremely bad army, but compared to what the armies are doing nowadays, it's always so fulfilling to see.
Yeah.
Even if it's a cheese list, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just so fulfilling to see an army like that place.
I will say I've played against them once, which was really just because my opponent played incredibly well and just constantly zoned me out by summoning skinks. And by the end of the game, where I'm like, I've killed 110 skinks and there are still 80 on the board. You have received... You started the game with 60 or something like that, and you have summoned that many skinks. I don't know, like between Engines of the Gods and all of that jazz, I just wanted to poke my eyes out. But I will say, I think Seraphon are one of the most balanced armies out there. They have to sacrifice for their summoning. I dig them. I think they're great. I actually just wish that Saurus and Saurus Cav were good, so you'd see those a little bit more. But yeah, Seraphon with a ton, no rippers, tons and tons of pterodons, taking it out. So they're obviously dropping down, flying over, and mortal wounding the bejesus out of stuff. And Flesh Eater Quartz came in 3rd and 5th, and who gives a fuck, because Flesh Eater Quartz are great. But Dragonfall GT, Slanesh, 1st and 2nd. How do we feel about that?
See, when I hear they come first, I go, yeah, it's expected. That happens. But when they take 1st and 2nd, it's like, ugh. Just, ugh.
And then there's that event where I think they were 1st, 2nd, and 4th, and then 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and you're just like, stop it. Stop it, he's already dead. But it is. It's because they are great. They're competitive, they're strong, And to be fair, if you knew that about them and you like their aesthetic, which a lot of people do, their fiction's awesome, their aesthetic's great. Uh, a lot of people want to take that army, and unfortunately, it's a bit fucked.
Yeah, like I can never blame someone for taking Slanesh or
Mm,
any army because they like it. Like I used to play Slanesh back at the start of Age of Sigmar, and
yeah.
then Zinj got reworked. Korn, of course, was reworked immediately.
Hmm.
Venergo was reworked, and I was the Slanesh player, frustrated that my stuff wasn't reworked. But I
Yeah.
still love them.
Yeah. They
Just
were.
sending.
No,
Sorry,
no,
go
you
ahead.
go. Oh no, I was just saying
Oh,
they were interesting. They weren't overpowered, but they were really cool and had a bunch of cool mechanics, right?
yeah, like my favorite thing was they were so freaking fast. I absolutely love that. You got
Mm.
your seekers and all that going like 14 inches or whatever. And
Yeah.
I just love that. So
And
if
then
someone
they.
played Slanesh beforehand and they just kept with it, I really don't blame you for still playing Slanesh.
No, but I think the problem is that they took what were interesting and strong. Like we actually saw after the General's Handbook that introduced depravity points, we actually saw Slanesh start to win a few tournaments and do well. And then they took all of those rules and they just fucking pumped them full of steroids. They were like, you get some steroids and you get some steroids. Everybody gets some steroids. And they were all just like, they're obviously insanely muscled up. And they were like, depravity points are good. We're going to make depravity points the fucking best. So it went from 0 to like 200 overnight. They skipped 100. So seeing them do well, it is fair. You can't just win a tournament by not thinking, but they deserve to be there. They are arguably the strongest army in the game right now. Their stats are freaking insane, so they deserve to be there. War Clans, third and fifth. We've spoken about how we feel about War Clans.
Oh, absolutely. I always appreciate it. Though I will mention, of all these top fives we've been getting, really disappointed there's not at least one Cities of Sigmar list in there.
Yeah, we've gone through 20 top 5 placings and not one Cities of Sigmar. Though my theory, right, is that War Clans was an army you already had, right? Like war clans could be come together quite quickly. Slanesh we
Yeah.
really quickly saw dominating. Same with Flesh Eater Courts because they were armies that could be built and painted rather quickly. Skaven was strong, but it took a little while to see them hit the top tables because people had to build the armies, big models, different units, conversions, because acolytes are fucking expensive. However, Cities of Sigmar, those are armies that people probably need to build, or if they do, they only had Free Guild or Dispossessed or Wanderers, right?
Yeah, and on top of that, now that you mentioned that, one
Mm.
thing I think might stop some players is there's so much variety there.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what might be good and what might be bad. With Iron Jaws, you can figure out pretty quick because there's
Mm.
10 units, if that.
Yeah, that's true.
So people can kind of figure out, okay, this is bad, this is good, yada yada yada. Well, with Cities of Sigmar, you gotta really dig deep and find the good stuff and weed out the bad and finally figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, that's true. And I think as well, like you're saying with Cities of Sigma, there are definitely some armies and like reading them like Hallow Heart or Living City, where you just or just the shooting from Greywater Fastness. You look at it and you're like, there is something here. This is really good. Like I don't think anyone could read Hallow Heart and not go, this is gonna mess some shit up. But the then taking there are just the thing I do dig about Cities of Sigma. There are so many moving parts, so many different cogs turning at the same time. To build the list from that, it's because it's like when you go to a kebab shop, right? And you're getting is it called a kebab over here? It's like the dirty, drunken late night food. Like they shave meat off the big turning meat stick. Some
Yeah,
places call it a gyros. I don't know.
yeah. We. I mean, kebab shop is probably a more accurate term for
Yeah,
it. I don't. It really is just like late night drunk after club food.
basically, yeah. Or in the chat, sign off with what you call it, because I know even in Australia, different states in Australia call it different things. Some places you call it a kebab, and it's just meat on a stick. I'm not talking about that. It's shaved meat, lettuce, and tomato in a wrap. Anyway, this extended metaphor, the purpose of me talking about this is because Most of the time in Australia, when you go into a kebab store at 2 o'clock in the morning and you say, I want the chicken, they just ask lettuce, tomato, onion. That's all you get. If you want anything else, you have to pay for it. And because no one drunk is paying for anything other than the meat, everything else is just untouched. The tabbouleh, the pineapple, the cheese, no one's touched it. It's perfect. It's probably fake, right? In cities, that's what Iron Jaws is. Iron Jaws is like lettuce, tomato, onion, and you're like, yeah, for sure. However, Cities of Sigmar, everything's free. You know, like you could. They're like, do you want cheese? Fucking cheese is free. You don't have to pay for it. Just take it.
Absolutely,
Tabbouleh?
love
Yeah,
cheese.
definitely. How many sauces do you want? We have 16 sauces. Any sauce you like. That's Cities of Sigmar, right? You are so spoiled for choice that you're paralyzed by indecision.
Yeah, because I mean, the lists I've come up with are entirely based on stuff I already own.
Yep.
There's so much more I don't own, and I'd look at, say, Sorceress on the Black Dragon or whatever it's called. I'd go, yeah, I could run that, but then you have to buy it, and then you got to figure out, is that any good?
Yep.
And
Can I actually play with this model? Does this model do anything? So yeah, Blaze Be Mad has had his eyes opened by that metaphor. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, I agree. And the other thing is, cities, you're kind of, I've felt it as well, right? Because I'm like, that could be awesome. But if it isn't, I have to invest a lot of money in great swords to find out.
Yep. It's like, it's easy enough to get a couple brutes for war clans, and you can go, oh well, that didn't work out too well, and that was $120 investment, which which sucks if it ends up being bad. But with Cities of Sigmar, you go, okay, I want this one unit. Okay, $300. Oh boy.
Oh god. Well, for me, the other thing that gets me is there's so many cool models, like beautiful models, amazing sculpts, like great swords are possibly some of the best models that I think have ever been released. I love everything about them, their aesthetic, their weapons, their faces, everything. I just want to smoosh their little mustaches. However, I've never had a reason to get them because I'm like, they're hot shit and I don't play Free Guild. Now I'm like, how do I put those models in my army? Or Pistoliers.
They got so good.
Yeah, Pistoliers and Outriders. Again, awesome models, cool ideas, wicked aesthetic. Suddenly they've got good rules. And I'm like, how do I make you in my army? And I don't need them, but I can. And I think it's awesome. Nemesis, whose basement is kind of like a horror movie if you were a sprue. Like, like in the horror movie, they go downstairs and they see the basement's full of corpses. If you were a sprue, his basement is that for you. You go down and you just see waves, deserts of sprue and boxes waiting to be made. So yeah, I'm digging it. I think it's good. Are there any last things talking about results and things that have come out that you want to throw in there? Anything that's tickled? Oh, sorry. The other thing we didn't talk about. In that one, 1st and 2nd Slaanesh, 3rd and 5th War Clans. 4th place went to Sylvaneth.
Oh, good for them, finally.
Yeah, I know, right? Everyone's like, oh yes, everyone a polite golf clap for Sylvaneth. They were really good and now they've been shit for a long time. Yeah, I'm kind of excited seeing them doing well again because we haven't seen them doing well for a long time.
Yeah, I'm a Sylvaneth player as well, and I like it's funny. It's just like the army isn't necessarily bad. You look at the rules, and they're good rules, and it's just you get these armies again, back to Slaanesh, Daughters, Flesh Eater Courts, and all that, that are just like out the gate, blow your face off kind of list. That it's like, hey, no matter how good your Sylvaneth is, lots of times it just feels like no matter what you do, you're not going to be as good as those Slaanesh lists and such.
Yeah.
But like you said with Seraphon is fair. To me, Sylvaneth seems fair as well. Well, side note, their trees are kind of bullshit if you're playing a shooting army, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And in the same way, though, that a shooting army is almost the perfect counter now to Flesh Eater Courts and Slaanesh. If you've got screens, because they're both so fucking fast, you probably only get one round of shooting anyway. But
yeah,
and in the same way that my Dispossessed really relied on a lot of good rend attacks, if I play a Nighthaunt player, I'm always just like, Oh God, no! All of those points spent on Rend. I think that's kind of okay. I never got shitty when I came up against Sylvaneth because I was like, your shit is that you jank me up and don't let me see. So I'm okay with that because my shit is like,
Yeah.
you've got an armor save. Let's talk about how you don't have an armor save anymore. So I'm okay with them getting into there.
Yeah, I know at Kippers there we had one game where it was Sylvaneth versus Greywater Fastness.
Mm-hmm. Oh God.
Greywater Fastness did not have a good time.
No, but that's perfect though, right? Because Sylvaneth and Greywater Fastest have been
Yeah,
at loggerheads for
I even
ages.
came over and said, at least the fight is flavorful.
Yeah, damn right. Like, for those who aren't in the know, when Greywater Fastness is in the realm of life, and during, like, when Chaos was attacking it once, they have this basically, like, doomsday weapon that effectively napalmed all of the surrounding wilderness around the city. It killed all the Chaos, which is good, right? Austin, that's good.
Oh, I love hearing that. Die,
Yeah,
Chaos, die.
yeah. Napalm the Chaos. But what happened was the pissy little trees got upset that they deleted like half a continent's worth of forests. They had some kind of problem with that. I don't know why. Probably because they don't understand good tactical decisions when it hits them in the face. But since then, the Sylvaneth of the area, they're led by the Pale Oak, this old ass tree with a lot of problems. He's just like mental, spiritual, and physical. He's an albino. He's never really been accepted by the tree society. They constantly attack Greywater Fastness and kill them if they've got like one road that they're allowed to leave on, and if they leave the road, they get killed. But yeah, so it didn't go well for Greywater.
Yeah, that, when I came over and took a look at the game, I was like, "Oh, how's the game going?" He's like, "I haven't shot at anything." It's like,
Oh
"Oh,
gosh, that's a terrible time for a shooting army.
It's like,
Yeah, nah.
yeah, because in most of his games, he brought the formation. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Greywater Fastest one, but that you bring all the Hellstorm batteries and such.
Yep.
He had that, and of course, would keep in the back because the range on those things are really good. But plunk some stuff in a tree, and what do you do?
It's like, what is it? I think it's in those trees. Oh gosh, well, don't shoot at that. We shot at trees once and it did not go well for us, so we can't shoot at trees anymore. No more shooting at trees. Though I do wish that they had some kind of rule where they could target terrain pieces and destroy the terrain piece. That'd be really cool. Anyway,
yeah. Because I know, I don't know if the War Clans still have that, but I think it was in the old other General's Handbook or something. There was like one command trait or something where your general, it was a destruction one, if I remember correctly. It says like once per game or something, your general can destroy a terrain feature. And I remember looking at it going, fuck, that's useless. Who would ever want to do that? Well, currently, that's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. YouTube. I know that there's, sorry, just super quickly, I think there's a bunch of people watching on YouTube. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to check the comments to see if you're chatting to me. If you want to join the conversation, Twitch is the easiest place to do it. But we'll try to have a look now. But yeah, if you're in the comments, who would you back harder? Would you be more of do you like the trees, or do you prefer? Are you a bigger fan of the obviously superior Greywater Fastness? I would definitely be all about the Greywater. They're my favorite city. You'd be torn, right, between being a tree player and a cities player.
You think I would be, but I'm free cities all the way.
Okay, right. Burn it. You know what the best thing is? Sylvaneth have a problem with the Greywater Fastness, and yet you can still have like wanderers in a Greywater Fastness army. That's
that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. So clearly they haven't all forgiven the tree people, and they're not all trying to make amends. So Grail in the chat, fuck the trees, good attitude, love it. All about that one. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool to see them getting up there. That's a long conversation, but Sylvaneth getting into 4th place is fucking awesome. So yeah, I'm stoked about the results that we've seen. Now, just to throw it at you, because next week I'll be having a look at this a little bit more in depth, but I don't want to talk about the the important shit with to do with the bony boys and the belly boys, the upcoming releases of the More Tribes and the Bone Reapers. But let's just quickly, I just want to ask you, what's your favorite? What's your preference?
Well, I'll tell you the one I actually like just don't give a shit about,
Okay.
and that's the Bone
Oh,
Reapers.
thank God. Oh, I
I
was about to mute you and kick you immediately from the show if you had a problem with Ghostbusters.
um
Yeah, they don't tickle you.
when the rumors were coming out, the biggest rumor was, oh my god, Tomb King revamp,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm an old Tomb King player, so I was horned up for that. It's like,
You,
yes,
Tomb
Tomb
King
Kings,
Tristan, yeah,
finally!
Dan Brewer. There were so many people
And when they
worldwide.
came out of these guys, don't get me wrong, gorgeous models, but I just look at them and go, you're not Tomb Kings.
Yeah, you're not Cetra. You look like Cetra, like in that kind of your status and grandiose and advisors, but you ain't him. You 100% kneel. You kneel down to tie your shoelaces, you big bone dick. Uh, in the chat, Vanilla Sass is about the Bone Daddies. Sir Grail is Gutbusters. Vanilla Sass is admitting though that the Morpod is a sick looking terrain piece. But yeah, I'm kind of the same. I like probably 2/3 of the Bone Reapers models, but then there's a third to half of them. I don't love the models. I think they're beautiful. I think the sculpts are actually wonderful. I look at them and I'm like, yeah, they don't. They
Like,
don't.
I look at their Mortark, and it's a
Mhm.
gorgeous model, but
Mm.
I just imagine sitting down painting that thing. It's like there's so much going on.
Mm. Though that model is going to lead to so many wonderful like dioramas that I'm excited about. It's like a little mini diorama in and of itself. It's a terrarium
Yeah,
for those community watchers. It's a terrarium, but
it reminds me of Forge World, like the character
mm,
series they do.
yeah, because it is. It's one of the first times as well. Like looking at it, there are not many characters that they design looking like they're not even on the field of battle. You know.
It's like they're having their own private meeting.
And the thing that I dig is apparently his rules he kind of stacks up and upgrades into he's like a mini boss fight, and as he takes wounds, it's obviously his advisors and he has to come to the front and starts dishing out the hurt. That really excites me. And what I can't
That's
wait
pretty
for
cool.
is the first person to convert up a different version of him for each stage. Because I imagine that he starts out as he is in the thing, just being like, oh yes, I'm here. Read me my scroll. I shall hold nothing except for these while you do a marble chiseled bust of me. But then, as his advisors get killed, and he's like, you killed the noble artisan. I must kill you now. I really want to see someone do the different versions of him as he gets more intense, right? Just to suit that boss fight theme.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty amazing to see someone like do a small version. If he buffs up, remove that model, put on the next model, and be like, oh, this is the souped up version, and eventually you get to like level 5 or whatever, and they're all different models, and just it'd be something amazing to see.
Yeah, the AoS commenting that it's basically being in your tent with the advisors while all the troops died down in the valley. It's pretty accurate, right? He's just like, oh yeah, you
Yep.
guys got this. Yes. How is that artist rendering of me coming? Oh yes, it looks wonderful. Okay, everybody's still doing all right down there. Oh yeah, good, good. We can just get more anyway. That's why we have the tithe, you see. All he is, I'm gonna put it out there. He's just a glorified accountant. That's his. That's what he is. He's an accountant on a power trip. Um,
It's like, oh, you want a mortgage? Denied.
no, none for you. Vanilla Sass saying he's a display piece but wants to see Gotrek go up against him, which I agree would be absolutely awesome. And Jimmy 1080 saying it's a wonderful mechanic until he gets one-shotted by a Terrabat. So yeah, that's also there, right? So round it out. So you'd probably be more excited by the Gutbusters.
So out of all the armies, I have tons of armies, but
Mm-hmm.
most of them just sit on the shelf, never
Yeah.
get used. Haven't played some of them in like a year. Gutbusters I play on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite armies. I even
Oh
bought a
yes.
Bone Grinder Giant.
Mm-hmm.
I got a Bone Grinder Giant, and I always ally that thing in because it's not the greatest model, but holy crap, it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I'd say, I'm a Gutbusters player as well. Painting those models is so satisfying. Big, chunky flesh. It's amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it might take quote unquote a little while longer compared to a regular model, but
Hmm.
just not having to get, the smallest brush you have and like just to get the eyes or whatever. It's like, no, the eyes are, you can see them pretty easily. You can get your small brush, go, yep,
Yeah,
white, white,
exactly.
black, black, done.
Do you want to paint fingers and fingernails? Well, these are going to be of a size that you can paint and that won't make you want to tear out your eyeballs. So it's like, yeah, this everything's great, right? Why would we have a problem with big models? And then you've got these tiny little fuckers with tiny teeth and tiny eyes that are in the Bone Reapers that you have to paint. So no, I'm not about it. I'm not. I'd much rather my big chunky motherfuckers that I can paint nice, easy, and efficiently. They're the ones that I want. I mean, everybody's open to their own opinion, and I'm counting on a lot of people liking them so I can buy the Gutbusters half to add to my More Horde, which should be the name of a big group of Gutbusters, right?
Oh, absolutely. And
Mm.
I'm doing the exact same thing. If people are posting and asking, like, I really want the bone guys. Anyone want to split? Yes.
Mm.
Yes, I do.
Although, and let's stop for a second. They sold out in like, I think in Australia they sold out. They go on sale at midday or 1 p.m. They sold out in 18 minutes in Australia. I believe they sold out in about half an hour in Canada as well, and the US. So if you wanted them, they were not easy to get your hands on.
Yeah, I pre-ordered through my local store, Dice Bag Games.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his order in, so he's pretty confident he'll get them.
Mm.
But part of me was sitting there going like, should I just go through the website? Should I go through the website? But
Yeah.
nope, I waited. And of course, as you said, it was sold out within 30 minutes. So now, well, basically, I have to wait until next Friday or Saturday to hear whether or not they got it.
Yep.
The nice part though is for the gut busters, anyways, the stuff I'm interested in.
Mm.
If they don't get it in, I miss out on a tyrant, which sucks because it's a cool model, but it's
Mm.
not the end of the world. Like I already have tons of regular ogres, tons of lead belchers.
Mm.
I don't have an iron blaster, but whatever. I can just buy one separately.
Exactly.
I am sympathetic towards the Bone Reaper players though, because I mean I think that hero is exclusive to that box.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
And that's what I heard. I haven't double checked to confirm
It would make
because I can at
sense.
least
They usually do
yeah.
that, right? Like Loon Curse, they haven't released the flappy fucking dick with his.
Arch
Ooh, I
Revenant.
don't know. I'm sorry. He's the bug dick, as far as I'm concerned. The amount of times that I have not killed him by a fucking wound because my opponent's like, oh yes, but remember he can just not have his wingerling bug, and now he gets it like, and I don't have to suffer a wound for that. I'm just like, fuck. Okay. Yep. Perfect, great. Take it, just leave him on the fucking table, whatever. So the bug dick and the rad awesome dude riding a squig, they haven't been released yet. So
But
yeah.
in the case of the Squig though, at least he already had rules. It's an older model, but you can still get those rules
Mm.
and have a model that's like that. Same thing with Flesh Eater Course. You can't get the Ard Region. Same thing with Skaven. You can't get the Bombardier or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it's called.
Yep.
At
Yeah.
least with these ogres, sure, I can't get this really cool tyrant model, but there's still another tyrant option I can get.
Yeah. True. Blaze Be Mad pointing out in the chat they haven't even released the Carrion Empire models from March. So yeah, that's a pretty good sign. Like if you can't even get the Bombardier and what was his name, the other one.
Arch Regents,
Oh,
I
that's the
believe.
one. Yes, that's the yeah. So yeah, it'll be a while. So Grail's pointing out the Bloodstoker. So yeah, that's a good one. Jimmy 1080 signing off. Take it easy, mate. Haywo's saying, "Don't worry, that character sucks, so it's not a great loss." The Tyrant model, though, it's the problem is that the model's cool, right? Like I can have
Yeah.
other tyrants. I have other tyrants. The best tyrant
Yep.
is using the man-eater female ogress who beats you to death with a rolling pin. That's the best tyrant. Everyone should just use that. But it is a sexy model. Um, yeah, Demcast showing up, mate. How's it going? I'm so sorry I didn't see you, and I will never stop apologizing for being trapped on the other side of the ocean when we should have been streaming together. For what it's worth, I was so bummed, and I'm so sorry. But I'm going to come to you, and we're going to do something. I don't know what it is, but we'll make it happen. I'll come down, and I'll come to America. I won't even bring a Kinder Surprise. Boomdacker, Guardian of Souls. Hey, whoa. You can't get Korgus Kroll or the Blood Secretor. Didn't they release them separately? I can't remember. Um,
Oh, they did, but they discontinued that
yeah,
box
that's
for some reason.
yeah. The Korgarath. So Grail pointing out the Korgarath as well, which I do love. All these people with lists with like 8 Korgaraths in it, and it's like they are 1 per box. 1. And they even have a faction. Yeah, so Grail pointing out they have a faction with a command ability for a Korgarath, and you can't buy it anywhere. Yep. Anyway, that's just our little rabbit hole there. But excited for it. I'm gonna get the box. The one thing I am glad about, and I feel like you probably feel the same way. Most people who are interested in them are. You might not have been able to get the box, but guaranteed you can get the book.
Oh yeah. I know they're sold out of the War Skulls for at least the Gutbusters. They might be sold out for the Bone guys too. On a side note, I still think it's weird they make those limited release. I think they're so important for gaming, but whatever.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like getting the printing space or something. Because
that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, and I guess if you had to pick things that are essential, they should be essential, but they're not. If you've got a book or you've got a phone, I get it, but I love them. They're so good. But yeah, I think the fact that you can get the book and they haven't sold out of that, it's like if they sold out of the book, people would be furious. Selling out of the box sucks. It's like, how didn't you think people would want an entirely new, unique faction that you can only get in this box? How didn't you think people would want that? But at the same time, as long as you can get your hand on the book, that is okay. That's okay. That's what I'm telling myself, because I've been told I might not get the box. So I'm like trying to calm myself by stroking myself with a large dry brush. Just ooh sa.
Hey, I'm doing the same thing. You know, the store tells me they ordered it, but there's no guarantee they'll get it. Like, just hold my breath and hope.
Yep, that's it. Cross your fingers. However, how good is it that they have a bite attack now? Like that ogres, ogres, just great. Because it always used to shit me that Seraphon had a bite attack, but ogres didn't. Because I was like, Seraphon, they bite you because they're feral. Ogres bite you because they're connoisseurs. And they're like, I'm not going to damage this meat, or I'm not going to choose to eat this meat without taking a little nibble first to make sure it's good, right?
That's one thing. It's so flavorful for ogres, because I think, if I remember correctly, the whole reason why they don't like the Bone Reapers is because they think it's wrong for them to be reanimated and not eaten instead.
Which, and I've said it before, and I will say it again. It is the first time, I think, that you have a box that is a wonderful storyline in and of itself, right? Because previously it felt like the boxes were, the story was made around the models in it, right?
Yep.
So initially you had Stormcast and Khorne, and it's like, cool, they're the 2 factions and it's the Chaos Wars, but there really wasn't, outside of these guys are good guys and these guys are pillaging the lands, there really wasn't a huge reason for it. Cool. Next one you get is Stormcast and the Vanguard Chamber and then the Nurgle. Again, really, really cool box. Really cool box. But you effectively, it's the similar thing. You're bad guys in the realm of life. You're good guys in the realm of life. We're fighting each other. It's cool, but you're building the story around it. Carrion Empire, same thing. I would defy anyone to find a box that is like that. Loon Curse. Sylvaneth and Grotz are enemies, sure, and they go back a long while, but it's not like that was particularly diametrically opposed. You put these 2 armies together. The only other army that would have gone in there really well would have been Bone Splitters. Because, but yeah, right? Because
the name alone.
Of course. But okay, and Vanilla Sass is saying Wrath and Rapture. Again, that's really cool, but Khorne and Slaanesh have just always been opposed. It's because they hate each other, right? Here, you have an army that is all about eating stuff. They love like bones and bone marrow as well. All they want to do is feed, versus an army that repurposes bone without flesh. It's just so good. Haywo wanted Beastclaw Raiders versus Fire Slayers just for the diametric themes. That would be it'd be interesting, yeah, like Slayers versus massive models and short little stunty ones. But yeah, right. That's why for me, this box, as soon as it was announced, as soon as I saw it, I was like, shit, yeah, that's so cool. Because it probably has just worked out that way. But I was like, these are two really, really cool factions that operate together in a really interesting fashion, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think is when they spoiled the Tyrant model
Mm.
a couple months ago, and they had that little trailer for it.
Yeah.
And just listening to them talk about, the tithe of bones or whatever is
Mm-hmm.
over. Now let's just fucking eat everything. I'm like, hey,
Mm.
that's great motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Being hungry, fantastic.
Blaze be mad. Maybe a little salty comment due to some of the rules compared to what the Bone Daddy's rules are like, but saying it should have been ogres versus a terrain box because the terrain would probably win. Um, but yeah, Haywork Twitch commenting the idea behind the Beast Claw Raiders versus Fire Slayers for a box would be amazing because it would be fire versus ice, big versus small, no pants versus only pants, and Kai Leonis saying that yeah, struggling no pants versus only pants every day. Actually, you know what? I'll throw that. Let's throw that out to everyone. Chat yourself, Austin. What two factions would you put in a box together for the just like for it? Like what two factions would you throw together in a box facing off against each other? And yeah, like I
Ooh.
said, chat. This goes out to you as well. I'm thinking right, and I'm thinking I would actually go potentially. Hey, whoa! Wants more tribes versus playtesters. Uh, which is that's pretty grim. I won't lie. That's a good one though. That's good. I'd like to see that. Just to keep them honest, keep them on their toes. Do you have one?
Yeah, the first one that came to my head,
Mm.
I think I remember seeing artwork for it. It was a carriage on Overlords versus Disciples of Zinch.
Oh yeah, true. That'd be an awesome one.
Because I think, if I remember the art correctly, it was a bunch of their gunboats, whatever they're
Mm.
called, heading towards a big Zinch tower, like wrapped in tentacles and
Yeah,
all that. So I just thought that would be pretty cool. That's
yeah.
also the thought of a freaking Lord of Change just flying onto a boat or a
Just
skyboat would be
landing there and
pretty
carving it
amazing.
up. Totally. Yeah, and that is in Chamon, like the realm of metal where they're from. That's where Zinch has kind of made its home too. So that would be a wicked one, like a cool combo. Blaze Be Mad saying Chaos Dwarves versus Dispossessed for our true loves. Fair. Yep, that'd be a good box. Except everyone would be trying to sell off the Chaos Dwarves because they're shit. Sir Grail saying Slaves to Darkness against Cities. I got to agree, that'd be really awesome.
Oh yeah, good like Warhammer Fantasy-esque one.
Kai Leonis saying Cities of Sigmar versus like Archaon, Slaves to Darkness. That'd be wicked. Vanilla Sass is saying Daughters of Cain versus your wallet, which would entirely be fair enough. I'd kind of be keen to see something like maybe like the Deepkin versus a box of Deepkin versus the Scourge Privateers. You know, like the two
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
across the ways. Also, they can ally together, so it'd be a box that could go together. But I'm just thinking about like the story. Can you imagine being like the Scourge Privateers who raid and steal and pillage monsters and do all of that, but knowing that you're not quite the masters of the ocean, but not being able to admit that you're not? That'd be a real tough one. Haywo is saying Deepkin versus KO for the two armies that are least likely to be able to reach each other, which would be good. And yeah, have you seen that Slaves to Darkness are getting a new book, right?
That's the rumor. I've seen a spreadsheet.
Mm,
I'm sure everyone's seen it at this point, but a spreadsheet for I think it was December, and it was said
yeah,
start collecting box, so it might be a new one or
no book.
revamped or
Yeah.
something. Terrain piece, endless spells, and battle tome, or I
Mm,
might be wrong about the terrain piece, but definitely said endless spells and battle tome.
yeah.
And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Slaves to Darkness player. My
Oh,
wallet is hurting.
mate, yeah, right now you're just like, please stop. Sylvanet, Cities of Sigmar, Slaves to Darkness, more tribes. Just give me, please give me a moment, just a crumb. Though I feel like I'm the flip side, where I've been in that position for ages where I'm just like, I've been waiting. I'm like, God, I want an army to get excited about. I want something new. I knew Cities of Sigmar was on the horizon. I was like, yes, here it comes. And then Cities of Sigmar came out. I was like, yes, So I'm like madly converting and building and finishing that army. And then more tribes comes out, and I was just like lighting the signal fires of Gondor to have my ogre army sent over to Canada from Australia. I was like, send them here. And then Slaves to Darkness, they've always been the ones I've been the most interested by in Chaos, because they don't even necessarily know they worship Chaos. So I'm like, and they have the worst win percentage ratio of any allegiance in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So that's fair enough.
Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking to see how bad they're doing. I remember one time I decided to do it, like, you know what? I want to try to make them as competitive as possible.
Mm.
And I can't remember what tournament it was, but it was a big one. It had like, I think it had 78 players or something. And there was one Slaves of Darkness player. And I went, I'm going to look at that list because that's got to be a tournament list. I look at it and go, okay, pretty cool. Chaos Lord on the Manticore or whatever it's called. And if I looked, okay, well, let's see how it placed. Even if it came in like 50th, I'm like, that just tells me it beats some stuff.
Yeah.
It came in dead last.
Okay, right. Fuck. Well, and I think that's the thing. There is the old saying that you can polish it. You can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. You can't even roll Slaves to Darkness in glitter at the moment. Like, they're that bad. Just accept it that they're cactus until December. There are some amazing players with wonderful hobby that have been playing them for ages, and I just can't wait for them to have a book. I just hope it's not as bent as some of the books have been. Vanilla Sass pointing out in the chat, the Slayer of Kings has worse rend than Katarkaros' shield. The Bone Daddy's big dude. His shield has better rend than the Slayer of Kings, which is a good one. So Grail's going to play them no matter what. And again, the reason I am excited for Slaves to Darkness, I feel like the reason they excite you is the same reason they excite me. It's the city aspect, the life aspect. Bloodbound, all that. They're all right. They're boring, but these guys have cities. They have homes. They have lives. They have stories. Right?
Yeah, and like you really saw that in Warcry, like because all those little war bands that came out, they can be played in Slaves to Darkness. So again, so like cities, you got the Greywater Fastness for all about just using their resources no matter what it is. And then you got Living City, which is all about preserving life and yada yada yada. Slaves of Darkness has the Iron Golems, which are all about just forging weapons. Untamed Beasts, all about using the wildlife as a weapon. It's this city's equivalent, I feel.
Yeah, and for me, that's where the interest is. That's why I love it. It's the social aspect. It's the day-to-day. And that's where one of my favorite books, or the things that I've listened to, was Realm Slayer, and then the Bone Desert with the Gotrek series, because they were the first ones, and the Kalayan Toll are also in a similar place, because they're really suburban. It's not just massive sweeping armies smashing into each other, and the story is about Lord General What's His Pants. They're really small, really intense stories about what happens on a really small scale, and in a city, in a community, in a suburb, in just like a small area of a city. Those are the really interesting stories for me, and that's why I'm really kind of excited to see it. So yeah. Oh, sorry. Mr. Selwood's dropping in the chat. G'day, mate. Missed you on the weekend. I'm very, very heartbroken about that, but that's okay. Vanilla Sass wants Hero Quest, which would be a cool one. But yeah, oh gosh, and everyone's just raging on dwarves for being short, which seems like hate speech. But we do kind of need to start wrapping it up. Now, we always finish on one of the big questions that haven't been answered by the Age of Sigmar story and background team yet. So we will finish on that. But shameless plugs. What would you shamelessly like to plug?
Well, shameless plug number one would be my local game store, Dice Bag Games. Not only are they my local store, they sponsored Kippers Melee. They were one of the stores that sponsored, and they actually brought their store on site as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
they were selling and all. Yeah, it was fantastic. They were there the whole weekend with us, and plus it was nice to kind of walk over and just take a break from TOing and talking to them and all that.
And probably buy something as well.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, good on them for toughing out the whole weekend. We were all there at 6 in the morning, and we don't live in the city. We're about an hour out, so we're all on the road by 5 a.m. going to that. So big shout out to them. That of them
Wow.
being Paul, Colin, Jess, Ben, and Jordan. They did fantastic and all that. Um,
Awesome.
Another big shout out to inlanders who did make it, and I
Mm.
don't mean that as a jab for the ones who
No,
didn't,
no.
because I totally get it. It was a nightmare. Um, but I had 36 players, and because of the ferries, I lost 16 of
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
which was a huge blow. And there was still about eight mainlanders or so that made it. So
Mm.
without them, I would have been down to around 12.
Yeah.
So big shout out to them for getting up at 3:30 in the morning or whatever, and just
Mm.
walking on and making sure they could get there. So huge thank you to them for making sure Kippers was flubbing my words there, still a success.
Yeah. Oh, and credit to them as well. Some people managed to thread the needle, and because one boat went on the Friday, so some of them managed to thread the needle. I know some people got up at a bee's dick and like basically cut all of their fucking like luggage back and walked on. Other people were there from ridiculous or had booked reserved spots when it looked dodgy. Like credit to everyone who managed to get across. I was tearing my hair out because of the amount of kit that I needed to bring, so I needed a car, which is why I was not in a great place on Friday evening or Saturday morning before some people perked me up. But yeah, and to anyone who travels for an event, in general, I think is like awesome because that's why we do it, that's why we love it. But to people that went to that level to get across there, despite the Earth itself trying to stop you, that's fucking impressive, right?
Yeah, like it was such a relief to see some of those faces still there.
Mm.
Um, like I said, it was still disappointing to lose almost half my attendance,
Mm-hmm.
but it could have been so much worse.
Exactly. And given that people still managed to make it over and had an awesome time, Mr. Selwood is saying well done to you for running Kippers. And yeah,
Oh,
Vanilla Stats
thank
as
you.
well saying great job all around for an awesome event. So it all it is really rubbing salt into the wound of not being able to be there, which is it's lovely. It's good. I actually came to peace with it. I won't lie, I'm still pretty gutted about the fact that, but I've dragged myself out of my pits of despair. I was an unwashed and filthy, disheveled thing for a little while, and I'm very sorry to everybody that I let down. I'm very sorry to you, very sorry to Jen, very sorry to all the organisers, but I swear, next year we'll do the same thing. I'll be back next year. My visa doesn't expire, and I'm trying to live here permanently, but we'll be back over. And next year, I just plan to come on like the Wednesday or the Thursday, so that short of the island sinking, I can get over there. That's going to be my plan.
But
And
at the same time, shout out to everyone who couldn't make it, because
mm,
I totally understand the situation. It
mm,
it wasn't a decision you made to just not come. It was, like you said, the Earth itself saying "fuck you," you stay over there.
mm.
And so it's like, no hard feelings there. I don't think anyone at the tournament was like, "Oh man, fuck those guys for not
Yeah.
coming." It was no, it
Well,
was
yeah.
like no, it was like literally like the Earth said no.
Yeah, but it's also that thing where it's just like, oh damn, like, and I get it because people are like, oh damn, I wish you were here. This is awesome. I want to share it with you. That's the thing,
Yeah,
and that's why I love Age of Sigmar. People see other players at event not as competition to be defeated, but as people to share in the experience with. And that's why I love the community. That's why there's such lovely people. Again, I'm sure that there are people like that in the 40k community, but I have noticed that the Sigmar community is just so. Tournaments when people are like, oh man, I wish you were here. It's not like so I could fuck you up or so you could win it or because the meta's terrible. It's like, I wish you were here because I'm having an awesome time. And I really
yeah.
want to share that with you. And by the sounds of things, that's much the same as what it was like.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know in my first go, like most people had a good time. Some people
Mm,
didn't because they didn't agree with a certain way I ran things
mm,
and all that. Like I was a little later putting out the tournament package. It was also my
yeah.
first time running a tournament. But this time around, everyone was because I'm always nervous. I'm sitting there
Oh
going
yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh
for
god,
sure.
I hope everyone enjoys themselves at least.
Hmm.
And not one person came to me after and said, "Oh well, work on this a bit more. You did okay."
Hmm.
Everyone just came up and was like, "Hey, tons of fun, great job. Can't wait till next year." And
And that's it, man. Like, I think people expect TOs to be infallible and make not a single mistake. But it's like, dude, you're just another gamer who wants people to enjoy games, right?
yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like at the very end there, when it came down to kill points, I was sweating bullets. Like I'm calculating over and over and over to make sure I got the kill points right, because I don't
Hmm.
want to screw up the standings because I put in the wrong numbers somewhere.
Oh, well, I know as well for Sydney Slaughter, Chris Welfare of the Mortally Wounded podcast, the very first Sydney Slaughter, excuse me, he ran an event, I think it was 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before, so that he could test out, with just a mini event, a one dayer to test some
Yep.
of his, because he does his own custom scenarios for it, which are really cool, to test out the custom scenarios, to put together, like to test out his scoring package, because he does his own like kind of app for it. And he was like, he bleeds for that tournament. I'm like, that's what most TOs do. So yeah, it's giving feedback is important if you don't like something that happens. But make credit to you as well for being like, yep, I'm just throwing it together and we're gonna see how it goes. And then like, I mean, in the first year, obviously, because that's you've got to put it together year one, and then work from there. But it sounds like
Yep.
from year one to year two, you haven't made like a linear step. It's been an exponential step. So it sounds like it was fucking awesome. I'm just devastated I couldn't be there. But yeah, to everyone who managed to get across, sounds like they had a great time. To everyone who didn't, like Nemesis, who spent with me, in fact, spent 9 hours at the ferry terminal,
That
just
sucks.
being bumped from boat to boat. It was rough. However, the lovely company of some wonderful people definitely made all the difference there and turned it from like a soul snapping experience to just a soul crumbling experience, which was all right. But yeah, and so I guess, are there any other shameless plugs? I mean, plugging your local gaming club, I think, or local game store rather. Everyone pay where you play. Don't only like support the big guys. Like spend a little money at Games Workshop for sure, but also make sure that you support your local crew as well, because they're the ones that do it. Pay where you play. I think should just be the catch cry. The internet is a lovely place, and buy some of your stuff off the internet, but don't buy all of it, because otherwise people can't afford to put the boards where you want to put your models. And that makes it really hard to play games. But are there any other shameless plugs before we go to our last, final, great, important question?
Last plug would actually be
Mm.
a specific player at the tournament. His name's Keegan. He's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was talking to Ricky doing the stream there about
Mm.
his really, really cool, well-designed playmats,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, right.
and I was looking at buying one myself, and so I was thinking, I'll pull the trigger at some point. We'll see how it goes.
Mm.
Yada yada yada. Keegan, as a thank you to me for running the whole event, goes to the coffee shop during lunch,
Yeah.
runs into Ricky there, and goes, "Hey Ricky, are you selling that playmat you're using?" So Ricky gives him a deal, and Keegan buys it on the spot. And after the tournament's done, he gives it to me.
No. Oh,
Yep,
dude, that's so nice.
I know. I actually almost cried.
Mate, but look, again, that is just why I think TOs, you are a beautiful species. You're a beautiful and underappreciated species in a lot of regards, but you're also a wonderfully appreciated group. And to be fair, those gaming mats that Ricky makes are fucking spectacular.
Yeah, I cannot wait to break it out. I actually have a game set up tomorrow evening to
Mm.
find to use it myself, and I can't wait.
I've played on them I've played on them 2 or 3 times now. A couple of blokes in the local community have them. I can't speak highly enough of them. Ricky from Dimensional Cascade is, not only is an absolute legend who I entirely left hanging this weekend, after he came all the way from Seattle and I couldn't even get across from damn Vancouver. That breaks my heart. I'm so sorry. But check out Dimensional Cascade also for their awesome battle reports. But those mats he makes are possibly some of the finest gaming instruments to play upon. And I don't even have one. This isn't even a paid sponsorship. I'm just so damn excited about how good those mats are, right? It's like I possess none of it. I have no reason to tell you they're amazing other than the fact that they are fucking spectacular. So yeah, for sure, give them a look. But yeah, and he's still in the chat. He's still in the chat. Go. Well, there you are. You're there. I was talking nice things about you. I didn't realize you were present, but there you go. Everyone, go and check it out. Demcast, if you want to, throw a little link in the chat to the store as well, because I know they're updated from the new GHB and they're amazing. He's painting some Stormcast Eternals, which is it's okay. I mean, like, if we had to paint something, obviously we'd want to be painting Dispossessed, but I can accept that.
Stormcast won Best Painted at Kippers, so that's something.
That's true, and Stormcast can look wonderful. I remember seeing a beautifully painted non-metallic metal Stormcast at the Brisbane GT one year, and I almost walked past it. I was like, oh yeah, it's a really good looking Hammers of Sigmar army, and then like kept walking, and someone was like, no, just stop. Really look. And I was like, okay, all right, fuck, whatever, mate. What, has he layered the Retributor armor? Really? Holy shit, it's all yellow and tan. It's non-metallic metal. It's a saw-sliding non-metallic metal Stormcast army. Just take the votes. Take the fucking votes. So yeah, I'm all about it. Okay, are you ready? And chat as well, are you ready for the important question to finish the show?
Always am.
Always. Okay, good. Now, in nature, in our boring ass realm that we live on, unless you live in Australia, in which case it is obviously Gur and everything's trying to kill you, there are a number of animals that attract a mate through either beautiful songs, fantastic plumage, or some kind of a performance thing. So take it like the male peacock is actually the one with the ridiculously pretty tail as it tries to attract a mate. That's what it's used for. Or the bowerbird, which builds like a really good looking nest and is like, hey, do you maybe want to do something? Or like a pigeon. If anyone's ever seen pigeons doing the weird like shoulder wiggle dance thing that they do to try and attract a mate, please, no one ever clip those images and use them again. But there are a number of animals out there that have wonderful mating rituals. What, like, mount or monster in the mortal realms do you think has the most, like, fancy or beautiful or astounding or unexpected mating ritual? Like they have to mate somehow. What do you think they are, and what do you think it is?
Ooh.
I know, right? It's a toughie. It's there. It's definitely there. See, I initially I was thinking maybe the Wardroth beetle, but then I was like, nah, that thing doesn't. That thing is like smashed into another beetle, and that's how they procreate. I don't know if anyone has seen how, I think it's fleas or lice. They procreate by the male stabbing the female through the abdomen. There's not anywhere to put it. They just stab it through the abdomen with a knife-like penis. Nature is a horror show. Never ever live anywhere with animals. But I don't think it's the Wardroth. Do you have a thought?
In terms of fanciness, the first one that will come to mind will probably be a Stardrake. The thing the Celestins ride on.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you mentioned peacocks, I imagine it'd be kind of like a peacock while flaps its wings. It's all just like glitter and stars.
Yep. Yeah, I can see as well. And you know what? The other thing I can see with Stardrakes as well is like them having some kind of weird Stardrake dance.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah.
Maybe like a little head bob or something.
Yeah, well, because you think about it, and they're these absolute monsters of devastation and destruction. Fucking the skies fall, doing mortal wounds wherever they are. They rip your head off. They're covered in armor. But then the Stormcast take them back, and they take the armor off, and then they just like have this like weird little like wiggle or something they do where they're flaring their wings like a peacock to try and attract a Stardrake mate. And maybe the most damaging ones, the ones with all the mount traits, the ones that don't attract a mate because they're full of rage because of their rejection.
Those are the ones that Lord Celestins have to tame, and because they're the most effective in battle.
They are, of course they are. They're full of rage. They're like, how can we possibly do this? Dimensional Cascade is saying mangler squigs. They like to cuddle. Oh, God. Well, I mean, they're tied together, right? They're chained together. So I don't know if it's love or it's some kind of weird, like the Bachelorette forced love. Um, but I can see that. Blaze Be Mad, obviously horrified by that. Cool Bunny is saying skinks because they just look at each other and reproduce. Like you look away and there's 20 more. They're so, which they're a memory, of course. Somebody like thinks about a skink having sex. Like, can you imagine like a slan is like, hey, you remember that time those two skinks were doing it? And this other slan is like, no, I don't remember. And then he remembers and just like 70 skinks appear around him. He's like, oh God, no. Nemesis is saying the Hydra for the dance of the seven heads, which I don't know if that was meant to be a little bit, but you know it was. That's fine. The seven heads could be taken in a million different ways. Okay, wait. Kylianis has gone in a similar direction, saying griff charges because they're half falcon, half like peacock, half mountain ram. So, yeah, I see that. I definitely see that.
I can see that one. Another one I thought of is maybe a Pistillodon from the Seraphon. Maybe if it's like big sunbeam thing on the back, it can put on like a little light show or something.
I see. I would always imagine them having their mating ritual as just like they headbutt each other until one of them's like, "Yeah, you'll do." You know, they just aggressively do it. But yeah, I can see that being like, hey, check out how sexy, and they're like, their sunbeam is like some kind of weird children's nightlight into the sky. They're just firing off like fireworks or something. Blaze Be Mad is asking if rogue idols procreate after they're animated. That's not a question I want the answer to. Is that a question you want the answer to? No.
Oh man, curiosity gets the better of me at some point.
Yeah, look, we could talk about rocks and big hanging, dangling things smashing against each other, but I don't want to know. Vanilla Sass says Hell Pit Abominations, and we're not even going to talk about what that looks like. Yeah, no, we're not going to do it. Heywo commenting that every time a slan thinks about it, it happens for skinks reproducing. Blaze Be Mad saying anything Nurgle because they just basically fart and puke on each other, which is a lot like a Saturday night down at the local, which I can say as somebody who often walks home Saturday night at 3 a.m. That is 100% regular. Sir Grail is saying ogres. I wonder what okay, let's finish it on this, given that we're both fans of more tribes and of
sure.
How does an ogre attract an ogress? Now, remembering the only ogress that we are aware of existence carries a big ass rolling pin to beat you to death with and is a man eater. So they're just as hardcore as the men. How does either a male ogre attract a female ogress or a female ogress attract a male ogre? Or given that she also likes to wear clip-on beards and mustaches, they are obviously ogres are gender fluid, so they can be anything in the spectrum in between. How do they do it? Let's talk about it.
Let's see. I would think from the male end, attracting the female. It would have to be something on the lines of a butcher, like whipping something out of a cauldron, going, "Look, hey, look, I can cook," and there you go.
Yeah. Or well, they don't really cook it though. So is it just I can provide meat?
Yeah.
Yeah. I possess meat. Are you interested in this meat? Yep.
Yep. Boom. Done. Sold.
So okay, that's it. Okay, but is there anything else, or is it just you've got meat?
I think
it's you.
I think on the flip side, with the woman ogre with the rolling pin attracting a man, I think it's just classic walk up, knock them out, and pull them back to your cave.
True. So what we have in ogre society is a reversal of what people seem to think the stereotypical traditional Cro-Magnon society was, where the male chooses and finds that it's not that. In ogre society, the ogres are doing the peacock feather dance, being like, "Notice me, senpai." But the female ogre is the one that's like, "I want you. I'm going to have you. Let's do this." Vanilla Sass kind of going down the same line in the chat, being like, just seeing a female ogress in a gruff voice saying "the more hungers" and then giving them a sultry wink or something like that. Cool Bunny also agree. Actually, before we even said that, saying that female ogresses just decide which male she wants and she gets them. That's how it works. And yeah, baby ogres are a thing of horror that Sir Grail we don't need to go into. And Blaze Be Mad is saying that they all meet and join in a little Moorpot sauna, which would be a wonderful visual for us to finish on. So we've established that ogresses dominate ogre society, and male ogres are the peacocks, which try to do a meat-related dance to attract their people. But that's it for us today. Is there anything last that you would like to leave us with, Austin?
Thing is, I'd say for any people thinking about going to tournaments, go in with a calm head. Don't go in going, yeah, I'm going to go 5-0. I'm going to take this whole thing. Go in with the expectation to have fun.
Damn right, because if you go in with the expectation to have fun, you always win, right? I'm all about setting expectations. Go to a tournament being like, I'm going to win this. One person gets that experience out of however many in the field. If there are 10 people at a tournament, you have a 10% chance of having that experience. If there's more than 10, it gets heaps worse really quickly. So have fun. Yes, preach, testify.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun before anything else when it comes to this. It's your hobby. It's meant to be fun.
Yeah, and that's why you go to do it. Any last pearls? That was a wonderful pearl of wisdom. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I want people to be doing. But any last pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at average.guy.paints.
Average Guy Paints, which is good because I don't feel like I'm competing with it. There's all these like master painters that I follow on Instagram, and I'm just like, oh god, they're so good. You set the bar at a level that I feel like I can like be a part of.
Yeah, it's all about you make something, be proud of it.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to like the freaking Michelangelo over there. Just
no.
Whatever you did, be happy with it.
Michelangelo won a fucking golden demon. I ain't going anywhere near that. But yeah, thank you so much for this evening. Given that we couldn't communicate over the weekend because I was on the other side of the fucking world in a little mind funk, it's wonderful to talk to you now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you all in a week's time, unless I see you before. But thank you kindly. You play War Dollies, and if you play Slanesh or Flesh Eater Quartz, take a good hard look at yourself, you piece of human trash. See you later, Austin. Have a lovely night, everyone.